Mic check. Mic check. Good morning. Happy Thursday, everybody, wherever you are, however you may be listening. Thanks for making us part of your day. It's an absolute pleasure to be here. Sorry I was late. I had to make some tea. My voice is really struggling. It's on its way out. So I apologize today if I lose my voice. I blame Joe Biden. I think that's the rule. I think you can just blame Joe Biden for everything now.
Well, it's always his fault, right? That's how things go.
Good morning, Jennifer.
Morning, sunshine.
Jennifer Louise.
Jennifer Louise.
It's not bad.
That would be a
I would
odd
call
one.
I would call this hat dark gray, charcoal maybe. Jen, any thoughts?
On my end, it almost looks green.
Yeah, it is like there is like a bluish, greenish hue to it. I don't know what it is. It's something, but that's my favorite hat currently. I love the Javelina hat.
Oh, it's a javelina hat.
It is the Javelina hat. Yeah. Thanks for noticing, Jen.
I'm just looking at it, just trying to figure out what it is. So,
quick announcement. I forgot about this. My daughter has a program at her school tomorrow. So tomorrow's live is going to be shorter. We're going to start a half hour early and we're going to go 9 to 11 and then I got to go. So I can only do 2 hours tomorrow and then I got to go. I don't really understand what this project is, if we're being honest, but I have to go learn about it. So she's explained it to me. Yeah, it's called like a water wall or something. I think they've been like, I'm guessing what it is. It's like a water feature, and they've like put stuff on this wall. And I think they've made, like those, you go to like a resort or whatever, and there's like water features that are on the wall.
yeah.
Makes sense. I think it might be something like that.
Got it.
Yeah. I'm not really sure, but I'm going to go learn about it tomorrow.
She's in kindergarten or first grade?
She is, with her school, it's kind of like mixed. So she's in something called K1. It's not a Montessori school, but they like copy a lot of the stuff from like the Montessori schools. So she does like some of her stuff is kindergarten, some of her stuff is first grade, but she's the age of a kindergartner.
Okay.
Yeah. So I don't know. I don't know much more about that.
Spawn was a COVID kindergartner, so that was fun.
So you did it from home?
So she was in school for about half the year, and then the rest, yeah. So.
Have you seen that video of that teacher that farts? And she's like maybe like first graders, and she forgot to mute her mic. And let me see if I can find it. It's my favorite video on the internet. It's adorable. You can do some announcements. I'll look for this.
All right. Well, welcome everybody. I'm glad everyone's here.
Never mind. I found it immediately. I changed my mind.
All right, go ahead.
Sorry, because we haven't even talked about your dating life yet either. Here it is. This is my favorite video on the whole internet.
Most of us are here, so if you want to pull out your Journeys book.
They've increased the sound. It didn't sound quite that good, but they've obviously dubbed some things in here.
What was that? What was that? I think she farted. Was that you? That was a big one.
Most of us are here, so if you want to pull out.
It's a perfect internet video. All right, Jen, now you can do your thing.
Kids will, those kids will remember that for the rest of their lives.
Yeah, what a great teacher. I hope she got an award for that.
Like what? Like the
I just feel
Razzie, like instead of the Razzie, it's like a gassy.
Yeah, no, I think she handled it well. She laughed at it. Her kids had an experience they'll never forget. That's a good teacher.
Yeah, I mean it's funny. I don't.
She probably posted it. I'm doubting any one of those 5-year-olds clipped it and posted it online. I love her. I think she's great.
Yeah, I mean, Yeah, COVID was. I'm not. This might surprise a lot of people, but I'm not very patient. So teaching and stuff like that, I totally outsourced in-home learning.
Somebody else did the
For
teaching, you
this
mean?
one. Yeah, I ended up paying someone because I couldn't, wasn't. I'm not, and I'm still not good at it. Like school came very easy to me. I didn't have to work super hard
You just had to threaten
for
teachers
stuff in school,
and,
but I can't teach people well. So
well, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Somebody just said U.S. set to drop charge against Indian billionaire accused of fraud, Gautam Adani. What did he do? Corruption and fraud at the expense of. So he was prosecuted, they said it was an elaborate bribery scheme involving corruption and fraud at the expense of U.S. investors. Wow. And it looks like they're going to drop it now. Trump, he hired a new legal team. One of Trump's personal lawyers, Robert Giuffre Jr., and now the Justice Department's dropping it. That's so cool. That's so cool. All right. Jen, what's on the docket for this weekend?
I don't have anything set planned yet. But like I said, there's one of the people that I shared with on the last members event. I'm still talking to and might see again. So
Wait, you did what? Did I miss this?
remember last week during the members event, I shared the pictures of some of the roster,
Yeah.
and so one of them I went on a date with last week, and so the plan is to see each other again, type of a thing. So
All right.
Courtney sent a Venmo saying teachers are the best.
Oh, thanks, Courtney. I think isn't Courtney's a teacher if it's the same Courtney. So that's self-congratulatory, but also accurate.
I mean, it's the Courtney that you and I talked about helping out with some stuff. Yeah, exactly.
Great teacher. Yeah.
So
thanks, Courtney.
Yep. So there's so yeah, that's the plan is hopefully to see him at some point again. I'm trying not to go out more than like once a week. I mean, I could go out more than once a week. I don't think that's right to do to Spawn. So that's where it stands right now.
She's gonna drag this shit out. Jen's gonna be ready to date in about 60, like 5 more years.
I don't have as much free time, and she pouts, dude. She gets real pouty if I go out and do shit. So
you're loved. What's it like to be loved? You hate that so much?
No, I mean with her it's different, but she's gotten more clingy recently, and it's not my. It's like the whole hugging where it's like far away. I mean, I give her hugs and affection and stuff like that, but it gets when it's extra clingy, it can be a lot. So.
All right. Bambi's back here accusing me of being a centrist. That's crazy. I love that. I think that might be the first time I've ever been accused of being a centrist ever.
That is funny. When and Bambi was from what I remember from yesterday, he's like turtles for straws. So whatever.
Wait, that's what they said.
Snails. No, that's what I'm calling it. Snails for snails for salt. Turtles for straws.
That's pretty good.
Kind of stuff.
I worked for Romney. I was a centrist. Yeah, I would have been more centrist before. That's true. I'm a recovering centrist. Everyone said I was
No mod said he was a centrist. You're full of shit.
Yeah, I don't think anybody thinks I'm a centrist. I think probably what they were telling you is I'm not a Democrat, that I'm technically still registered as a Republican. I did used to work for the Republican Party. I've never worked for the Democrats. I think what they were telling you is I have worked in politics before, but it was for the Republicans. I'm nowhere near a Republican now. I'm left of Democrats, but calling me a centrist was just kind of silly. Yeah, you're wrong. I'm not a centrist, not even remotely a centrist. I'm just not a Democrat. And in the binary world that you live in, that's probably very confusing. And the reason we criticize Trump a lot here is because he's the goddamn president. And the reason we criticize Republicans so much is because they're in charge and Democrats can't do anything. So it would be a silly waste of time to host a show every day and talk about what Democrats are doing when they can't do anything. But somehow Benny Johnson, Tim Pool, Ben Shapiro, they all figure out a way to host a show every single day and do exactly that. I don't know. It sounds like a miserable existence to me. So we try not to do that here. Jen, anything else before we get going?
Yeah, I mean that's the update so far in the dating situation. So I'll let you know when that's. Hold on. So he got flagged by Automod, but it said in the binary world you defend I'm MAGA even though I don't support Trump. I just hate Democrats like you. So you are MAGA too, RTP. So he's just pulling shit out of his ass. Anyway.
Cute.
All right. Well, we can get going on the show.
I've been
Welcome,
accused of being a
everybody. Glad you guys-
centrist and MAGA today. That's wild.
Yeah. I mean, whatever. So we're getting going on the show. We do this. So welcome everybody that you're back. You too, Bambi. The funny thing, bad Bambi. That's hilarious. Whatever. But we're gonna go back to my announcements. So we got a gift gold that you guys can see. I think it's in the top left on YouTube, bottom right currently on Twitch. We have a gift goal that we need to hit each day. This is our job. We do this Monday through Friday from 9:30 to 1 Pacific time. So this is our job, as much as you guys might disagree with it. That's how we pay our bills. So Venmo, Cash App, PayPal, Super Chats all go towards knocking out that gift goal so that we can keep doing this each day. If you haven't subscribed to us already, please do so. You can do a free sub on YouTube, but if you're a paid member on either of the platforms, you can join us for members-only events like we had last night. We watched 3 episodes of the company retreat.
We did. Incredible.
Yeah. So
if you guys haven't seen that, it is Anthony is the world's greatest employee. That speech he gave to the CEO, took his pen. He's like, look me in the eye. I was like, God damn, this dude's been here for a week and he cares more about this.
Father.
Yeah, that was incredible. Anthony's the greatest person that ever existed.
Yeah. So it's, I mean, good show. So if you guys are paid members on one of the platforms, you can join us for those members only event. We'll have another one, not this upcoming Wednesday, but the Wednesday after. If you guys disagree with RTP and you want to come up and have a conversation, you can. And how you do that is you send me a message on Discord. My Discord username is the same as the Venmo. So Jen with 2 N's, double 2 B's, the number 1. Just send me a message and I can bring you on. You can have a conversation. If you check out the link tree in the bio, we're on most social media platforms. We've got merch, Jay's on Cameo. We upload these episodes to Spotify. Yeah, so let's knock out that gift goal sooner rather than later. That'd be fantastic. You know that Captain Kirk has 3 ears?
I was unaware of this.
His right ear, his left ear, and his final front ear.
That's so stupid. Where did you get that one? Where did you get a Star Trek joke? Where did that come from?
I just have a list that I go down and find random shit that I think is funny. So.
Solid. Okay. Ox Black says, adding some Bambi tears to the fountain fund. Appreciate that. It's great to have you here, Bambi. All right, let's get started. Let's kick things off with Harry Enton. Oh yeah, I've already switched screens. I'm not going to fuck this up. This is great news. Let's talk about some new polling on healthcare. As I'm wearing my healthcare hoodie today, just a reminder to anybody out there who doesn't know this, there's only one solution to our healthcare problem, and it is single-payer healthcare. And if you disagree with that, let's have a conversation about it, because the numbers just add up. But let's see how people feel about the president and how healthcare is operating in this country currently.
CNN chief data analyst Harry Enton.
Oh, real quick, I wanted to say, Nick, I was waiting for you to show up. I appreciate the donations you sent Nick, yesterday. I appreciate the message that you sent along with it. I was waiting until you showed up, and so thank you for that. It was very nice.
Is with us now. So this is just sort of the latest incidents of drama within the department here. How do Americans view the Secretary of Health and Human Services?
Yeah, drama in that department worthy of a soap opera. And I will tell you, the Maha Math, which used to be good, is no longer good in the minds of the American public. Let's just take a look at RFK's net favorability rating. You know, you go back to January 2025. He was in the plus side. He was a positive for this administration. But down he goes into the Red Sea, now minus 15 points. And among independents, he has gone from +7 to minus 26 points. Remember, RFK was a very important endorsement that Trump got during the 2024 campaign. And there was a reason for that. He brought a lot of voters with him, which seemed positive by a lot of those in the electorate. But no longer RFK Jr. clearly in the red.
How is the president doing?
Can't believe it. I can't believe that going back on all your promises has got you in the red. That's crazy. How did that happen?
Broadly speaking, on the issue of health care.
Yeah, if we talk about health care, why don't we just look at the highest disapproval ratings for presidents this century? And you can see it right here. The one in red on your screen, Donald Trump, 65% disapprove of him on health.
This number is actually crazy for Obama. If we just want to be honest about this, if you look at what Obamacare did, which was a Band-Aid, it's not sustainable. It doesn't fix any long-term problems. It's not a viable program going forward. It bleeds money because it relies on private health insurance, but it did slow down the growth of how much people were paying for health insurance. It is wild. Like, if you look at what happened during the Obama years, after the passage of the healthcare marketplace, Obamacare in general, on average, people's premiums grew less quickly. And I know that's a crazy low bar. It would be nice. Like, we would love to see those premiums go down. But out of all of these presidents, healthcare was performing the best under Obama, and yet here we are at 63%. Now, Biden largely did nothing on healthcare. Trump gutted it in his first go around, and he's gutting it again now. But it is weird to see like Bush and Obama at the same place. When Obama took office, healthcare costs were skyrocketing, and I think I think it was somewhere around like 6 to 8% a year. Premiums were growing, and then after Obamacare, premiums grew on average about 3% a year. So still going up, and some people definitely saw hefty increases. Some people saw decreases, but on average, it slowed the rate of growth of insurance premiums. It's just one of those things. Again, the polling matters when we're talking about elections, but polling doesn't necessarily reflect reality.
The highest. That is the highest for any president this century. Biden was at 57%. That was his highest. Obama, remember, this was around the Obamacare debate, right? He was at 63%. Trump's actually beating him on this score. It's just a score you don't want to be winning on. And then, of course, Bush, when there was all this talk about privatizing Social Security, he was at 63%. But Donald Trump takes the cake on this issue, 65% disapproval, the highest for any president this century.
I have to say, my major takeaway here is how unpopular every president has been on healthcare. I'm surprised.
Yeah, it's almost like we should do single payer and stop. It's almost like it doesn't really matter when private health insurance is involved. It's always shitty. Awesome, Sophia. Thanks from across the pond. Good to see you, my friend. Said adding to the RTP fund. Always appreciate you and the RTP fam. And we always appreciate you and the family over there in Iceland. Thank you. Brittany said, "What do you call a traveling nun?" Virgin Mobile. Well done. Thank you.
Everyone doing so badly on this issue, given what a big issue it has been over the last several years. All right. Robert Kennedy Jr., obviously one of the biggest issues surrounding him, his controversial views on vaccines. Like, what are Americans saying about that?
Yeah, let me just tell you that Democrats would love for the 2026 midterm elections to be about vaccine policy, because on this particular issue, they are trusted far more than Republicans. Look at this. They got a 16-point lead on vaccine policy. You know, there are other parts of MAHA that I think are more popular.
Oh, my God. Did any of you guys watch I was going to show it today, and then I just couldn't do it. They had a whistleblower yesterday. Rand Paul brought in a whistleblower on COVID. And the entire whistleblower is just saying that there were some people at the CIA who believed that the virus was manufactured in the Wuhan lab, and that the CDC chose to instead say we can't definitively rule out that it was from the Wuhan lab or from the wet market, and that was the entire hearing. The entire hearing is like, some people didn't think it was up for debate. Some people thought for sure it came from the Wuhan lab, and that's it. That's all that's all that happened. I probably, it was like an hour and a half long. I listened to the whole thing. It was pathetic. So this makes sense. Democrats should be far more trusted when it comes to vaccine policy than Republicans.
Such as taking out, food dyes from certain foods. But the bottom line is that when it comes to vaccine policy, that is not a popular part of the MAHA movement. Democrats crush on this. Any talk about vaccine policy in this country, especially changing it, Democrats win politically speaking, no doubt about it. The numbers clear as day.
It'll be very interesting to hear what is actually said out loud from the administration, not just HHS, about vaccines between now and November.
Yeah, I think they're going to really have to tiptoe around it unless they want to take the wrath of the American public.
Harold, and thank
Under the one big beautiful bill, my insurance went from $367 to $1,880 a month. Holy shit, Ak. Jesus. Thanks. That's dope. Thanks, Trump. Thanks, Republicans. Let's just raise those numbers. I have friends who work on cancer and virus research. They just lost funding. Thanks, Trump. Yeah, it's never been more apparent that Trump is just working for like his billionaire friends, right? I want to show you this from Mom Donnie. This is an ad that Mom Donnie put out, but we talked about this yesterday, so I just wanted to clear this up.
New York, it's executive budget season, and I'm proud to announce that our city's budget is fully balanced. This budget isn't just about numbers on a page. It determines if our libraries get funded, if a street is safe to cross, if snow is actually shoveled after a storm. And you deserve to know exactly how we got here. We inherited a $12 billion budget deficit.
We are speaking about a fiscal crisis at the scale greater than the Great Recession.
Was the Great Recession?
And who do Democrats work for? Before I answer that question, audit all politicians, just tell me if you agree with me that Trump is working for his billionaire friends. Just so we can make sure we're on the same page here, and then I'll answer that question.
Great Recession. Many said the only way out of this was slashing services and passing an austerity budget. We rejected that. After months of painstaking work, that deficit is now zero. Our city is now on firm financial ground. We achieved this in two major ways.
Now he's going to do something that is crazy. He's going to be honest about how they did that. There's fact checks on this, like there's the counter let's call it programming that's going on here is like, well, he doesn't mention that it took funding from the state. Let's see if he mentions that it took funding from the state.
Two major ways: increasing revenue and support from Albany.
Oh, that's the first thing he mentions, is that he increased revenue and support from Albany, the capital of New York. Oh, okay.
And cutting waste and finding savings here in New York City.
Oh shit, waste, fraud, and abuse. That's crazy. That's crazy. I thought Dems were against that.
Thanks to Governor Hochul, State Senate Majority Leader Andrea Stewart-Cousins, Assembly Speaker Carl Hastie, and months of organizing from New Yorkers, we tax the rich. That tax alone will raise $500 million per year. And that's not all. Thanks to Governor Hochul and our partners in Albany,
That's right. It's communist. It's communist to cut waste, fraud, and abuse. That's correct. Thank you, Glenn.
Finally got a better deal for New York City. We're getting billions more from the state to help tackle the gap. At the same time, we've been poring over the city budget to identify savings. We reduced unnecessary overtime and found smarter ways for government to deliver services. This all added up to $1.77 billion in total savings. Our budget isn't just about closing deficits. It's about building a city New Yorkers can actually afford.
Are you calling Mom Donnie Madonna? Yes, I believe what he's telling me, because we can see the budget. This is all public information. And this once again goes to show that, generally speaking, the people who are the loudest in the comments just believe shit. They have no ability to find out information for themselves. Yes, I believe him, because you can see the fucking budget. Who do you think's been doing all the waste and fraud? Well, not him. He just got here.
On day 8 of our administration, we announced a historic partnership with...
By the way, Eric Adams is the answer to that. And before that, who was the mayor before Eric Adams? Blanking on their name.
Governor Hochul to finally deliver universal child care. That's $1.2 billion in new funding from Albany. And this was just the beginning. And
kids? Taking care of kids? Damn. Just like he said? Damn.
Investments in citywide trash containerization, cheaper groceries, safer streets, relief for taxi drivers are all on the way. And we're increasing funding for libraries, parks, and...
Was Cuomo was the governor.
Cultural institutions.
De Blasio, that's who it was. Thank you. Itty bitty. De Blasio.
I promise to make sure you were part of this budget process every step of the way. This is your city. These are your tax dollars. And this budget should reflect your priorities. We're proud to put forward a budget for the working people of this city. And we're going to do it again next year. And next year. And next year. And next year.
Next year. Look at that little democratic socialist just out there accomplishing the things he said he was going to do, and it's not bankrupting New York, and they're paying for childcare, and they balanced the budget. Crazy how that works, right? We reported the other day that the people who ordered the Trump phones were pissed off, and finally I don't know who owns Trump Mobile. I don't know if it's Trump org. Just Trump Mobile then put this out yesterday. Now they're going to deliver on this promise.
Introducing the new T1 phone from Trump Mobile, a powerful device designed for performance, reliability, and real American value. Built with premium materials and a sleek modern design, the T1 delivers the speed.
These are just stickers in a case, just so we're clear.
Speed and responsiveness you expect from a flagship smartphone without the flagship price. Engineered to keep up with your day, the T1 delivers dependable performance whether you're streaming, navigating, working, or staying connected with family and friends, giving you the confidence of a phone that's ready whenever you need it. The brilliant display makes streaming, browsing, and staying connected feel smooth and effortless. Unlike many modern flagship devices, the T1 includes...
By the way, they keep using the word flagship because flagship is meant to say like the top of the line of all your products, right? Like your flagship, like for a car, it's going to be your highest trim level. It's going to have all the extras. This is the only phone that they have, except for they sell refurbished phones. They sell like refurbished iPhones and Androids, but this is their only phone that they claim they've manufactured. So they keep saying flagship as if it's a very nice phone, but what they really mean is it's the only phone they had.
Includes a 3.5 millimeter headphone jack, allowing users to utilize their existing audio equipment.
Oops.
Capture sharp photos, clear video, and the moments that matter most with a camera system designed for everyday life.
All right, so internet sleuths have looked at this phone, and what they've concluded is that this is just a reskinned T-Mobile Revel 7 Pro 5G. WingTech. Say Revel 7 Pro 5G WingTech, which is owned by a company called Luxshare. They make it in Jiaxing, Wuxi, or Kunming, China. It is not American made. It is a 2024 model, and you can currently buy this phone on Amazon without the gold for $126. $126 you could get it on Amazon, or you can pay how much were they? Was it $500? Entirely made in China.
Right out of the...
Please don't tell me that you have a problem with capitalism while you're on a platform making money. Please don't do that.
Making money isn't capitalism. Capitalism is if somebody gives me money and they invest in me and I use that capital to build my business and then I pay them a return on that. And since I didn't take any money to start this, I'm not doing capitalism. I'm working, which is not capitalism. Why don't you ever know what words mean? Niner Suck 92 said fart of the deal. Cool.
Box. The T1 phone includes...
Bam, you're wrong about literally everything. Do you want to just look up capitalism and then type the definition of capitalism into the chat? And then let's have the chat decide if I'm doing capitalism.
A charging cable, charging block, and a clear protective case.
Ooh, it's got a cable. That looks exactly like the one I get from Amazon. And it comes with a cable with some yeller on it, plus a box. Good Lord, I'm glad. And a flag. That's worth the extra, $360. You can buy this phone for $125 or $500, and if it's $500, you get some yellow and a flag on it. That's so cool.
Giving you a few useful essentials right from the start.
Woohoo! Nice. That's dope. He sold him a shitty phone for $500, and it took him years to develop this. By the way, they said it was going to be made in America. Made in America. Incorrect. They're completely made in China and outdated. It's a 2024 model. Got to have the flag. Yeah. Did you get that? Bambi, did you come back with that definition real quick so we can teach you guys about capitalism, socialism? I wanted to show, I told you guys about this the other day, and we didn't get to it when we watched Nick Shirley, so I'm going to show it. I hate showing Candace Owens too often, Also, Furkan Gozukara is somebody that clips a lot of good stuff on Twitter. If anybody knows Furkan, can you ask Furkan to stop putting music behind all of his videos? It makes it annoying to use his clips. And I think that's what he wants, is for us to use his clips. So
on a show, and I was like, okay, who is this guy? And I was quite stunned that there was this video out there of him saying that he like infiltrated the most dangerous gang in Brazil in 48 hours. Like, that's so objectively stupid and ignorant. You have to be so ignorant to even believe it. That's just be a headline that your brain automatically rejects, right? A 23-year-old kid, absent any connections, infiltrated a gang in 48 hours.
Cool Spin said, I love you, man. Thanks for making me laugh. Thank you. I love you too. Ty said, sent you a video on Twitter and Facebook. Okay. Where can I send a video about Trump's ballroom? Okay, I'll look at it.
Is like they are trying you right now. They're not even trying to give us like good slop anymore. Like we're beneath the level of Fed slop with this, right? It's just stupid. It's nothing personal, Nick Shirley. It's just dumb when you hear it, that a person infiltrate a 23-year-old kid, and I did say a white boy for a reason, which I will explain, infiltrated the most dangerous gang in Brazil by himself with cameras, okay? Anyway, Nick Shirley, after I said this on my show, the next day it was like trending, and all of these people, the people I trust the least, by the way, I mean, like Tim Pool, everyone's like writing these statements like Nick Shirley got punched in the face by me, because I'm not an idiot. I don't have to look deeper into that story. It's obviously objectively on its face untrue and made up. I don't know if it's for entertainment. I don't know if it's for funsies. I don't know the purpose of making up something like that. I've just lived a little bit of life and know that that's not how it works. And so PBD, who has just been sort of taking swipes at me for like since Charlie Kirk died, you know, he notoriously hosted the person who said, I didn't speak to Charlie since, you know, 2019. We hadn't spoken.
No notes so far. No notes so far. Nick Shirley's an idiot.
We were at war with each other, whatever. I don't care. You know, it's just add it to the pile of people who are constantly just making little snide comments on me. But Nick PBD, who was one of the people who issued a kind statement about Nick Shirley, because gasp, Candace doesn't believe that he infiltrated a gang in 48 hours, hosted him on his show. And they show the clip of what I said, and PBD's pretending he had no idea. He completely already knew I said this. Even the whole little scene you're gonna watch between them.
I have notes. Candace Owens is still an idiot. Yeah, fair enough. I mean, she's just picking fights with everybody. She doesn't really want to do politics anymore. She's just picking fights with everybody. It's clear what she's, and it's working. She's collecting cash.
Is just so contrived. It just bothers me on a level of, why do we have to live in this soap opera? Why are we all sim characters?
PBD is Patrick Bet David.
Who is pulling the strings? Anyway.
Yeah, anyway, I thought it was funny. Jason said, for Nick Bosa's biggest fan, fuck you, dude. Fuck you. Whenever I play Madden, I'll do like a franchise, and of course I pick the Niners, and the first thing I always do is trade Joey Bosa. Nick Bosa. Yeah, Nick, not Joey. God damn it. That's how much I don't like him. All right, what did you send me here? This is what you sent me. Let's take a look at that. I think I saw this. I didn't watch it.
I have a guy who's unbelievable at doing swimming pools. Up the road, we have a club. We have an Olympic-sized swimming pool. He did it 20 years ago, and it's perfect to this day.
This is from Decoding Fox News, so I'm guessing she's going to jump in and explain. Sorry, this is what Ty sent, so I'm unaware of what this is.
So I asked him, I said, I have an idea. I'm going to send my contractor over and take a look. He looked at it. He called me up. He said, so we could do something on it? And he said, it'd take me 2 weeks. Remember, 3.5 years. You have to take all the granite out. Then you have to put all brand new granite in. Take years to do it. Over 300 million hours.
Takes years to do it.
Job will take 1 week. It will cost about $1.5 million. So I have some very good contractors, some good, one or two in particular. And I sent the three best. I said, do me a favor, fellas. Go take a look at the reflecting pool that sits there.
Did I miss something? Is he now claiming that he didn't talk to contractors? Did I miss that part? Is that what we're watching here?
Between Lincoln and Washington, the beautiful, what should be beautiful reflecting pool.
He
and
did?
one of them came back who
he said, okay.
was really,
I didn't know that he did that.
They're all good. He came back, he said, "What an exciting job, sir." I said, "So how long would it take you to redo it?" Underneath, that'll take about a week. It's going to cost $350 million. How much will it cost? I think we can do it for about $1.9 million.
Truth Social, May 12th. Instead of taking 4 years to build at a cost, granite pavers and all, of $400 million, we could construct a far superior reflecting pool for $5 or $6 million and could complete the project in 2 weeks rather than 4 years. Jumping to the bottom. Also, I didn't give out the contract. Interior did, to a contractor I did not know and have never.
Just say whoever said that. Who was it? Fully Metal. How do you guys listen? How does anybody listen to Trump and think he's intelligent? I'm Australian and we aren't known for being bright. Shout out Australia. But I don't know how people. You got to be dumb to think Trump's smart. That's just the honest truth. I've never met anybody that is intelligent that's like Trump's smart.
Used before. To recap, first job. I know the contractor. It'll take 2 weeks or maybe 1 week. The original job was going to be 3.5 years, cost over $300 million. I can get this down to $1.5 million. Second time he brought it up. I know 3 contractors. I picked the best one. It's going to take 1 week. The original job would cost $350 million, and I can get it down to $1.9 million. Third time he brought it up. I don't know the contractor. Original job would cost $400 million and take 4 years to do. I can get it down to $5 to $6 million in 2 weeks.
Yeah, that's bad, Bambi. That might be the first thing you've said in a while that I agree with. I don't think his supporters necessarily support him because they think he's smart. They support him because he's mean to libs. He's just an asshole. I really do think that most of Donald Trump's support comes from the people that he hates. And you guys hate the same people, or I guess you say you're not MAGA, whatever. I'll believe you on that, but you do tend to kind of side with him a lot more than anybody else. But I agree with that. I think that largely it's just like a cultural movement for them, which is why he can fuck up this bad and doesn't lose support. Because they never really knew what was going on in the first place. Like all the criticisms of Joe Biden, all the stuff about immigration, like they were wrong about everything anyways. Everything you voted for, you were wrong about. The borders weren't open. You didn't have people eating your pets. Joe Biden didn't turn us into a communist country. Kamala Harris wasn't going to turn us into a communist country. Like inflation wasn't caused by Joe Biden. The Inflation Reduction Act didn't cause inflation. It reduced inflation. Basically, everything he ran on was a lie. And it just doesn't matter because they were never in it for getting the results. They were just in it for, we hate these people and Trump's really good at pissing them off. I think that's probably fair. I swear, I mean, you can hate Democrats all you want, Bad Bambi. It is interesting to me to see somebody who really doesn't like Trump, but then draws a moral equivalence to Democrats. Because I think what you have to do to draw that moral equivalence is compare all Democrats ever and like take bits and pieces and then say, as a whole, this is who the party is. Like, I don't think you could take a single person and compare them to Trump and be like, oh, this person is substantially worse than Trump. Right. So we're talking about an executive. And again, I also don't agree with that. Like both parties are like, there's like shit and then there's shit light. And I think Democrats are shit light. We've got to be able to have nuance at some point. We've got to be able to call balls and strikes. I don't know what you would say Republicans do better than Democrats, and Democrats don't do a good job. But when I hear people say that they're the same, I don't know what you're watching. Democrats are slightly better, and they should be a lot better, but they're slightly better. All right, moving on here. Let's go to some real stuff. This is crazy. 10-year-old kid in where is Virginia Fox? North Carolina, I think, right? Is that where she is? 10-year-old boy had an assignment to write a letter to a CEO or a member of Congress with their idea, and this little boy decided to send his congresswoman a letter. And this story's wild, coming from Fox 8 in Greensboro.
2038 is only 12 years away, and you and your classmates will be responsible for the debt.
A message.
Sorry, what he wrote is that he thought that they should expand. There should be a $5,000 tax credit for renewable vehicles. That's what he wanted. He just thought the government should pay for that. And here's what Virginia Fox said back.
And your classmates will be responsible for the debt.
A message from Republican North Carolina Congresswoman Virginia Fox that was sent to 10-year-old Christian Mango. Christian says certain words she said.
I could understand like half of it, not all of it.
His mother, Emily Mango, says the reply from Fox was in regards to an assignment from
Dolphin, I'll get there.
Christian's teacher at Canterbury School in Greensboro.
Christian and his class, they're in fourth grade, they wrote a persuasive essay of their choosing, and they mailed it off to a representative, a CEO, whoever the decision maker was that could be influential in hearing their persuasive essay points.
Christian says the topic he chose.
We should have a $5,000 tax rebate for electric cars because they're better than normal cars. They're better for the environment, you pay less, and there's no gas.
Christian says in April he mailed the essay to Fox in a Canterbury school envelope with fourth grade on the...
I would love for a Republican to explain to me why it's a good idea to get rid of the gas tax to try and save money, but it's not okay to give people an incentive to buy a car, which will lower the amount of gas that needs to be used, which then lowers demand, which lowers gas prices. Why would you get rid of it? Why would you get rid of that tax credit? You're trying to bring gas prices down. That makes a great deal of sense, doesn't it? Is it perhaps because they're owned by the oil companies?
Return address. A few weeks later, the school received this letter from Representative Fox via email. While the congresswoman thanked the 10-year-old for contacting her, she disagreed with his proposal. Fox cited 6 articles from news organizations such as Fox News and Wall Street Journal. But towards the end of her response, she attacked Christian's teacher.
Ask your teacher to explain propaganda to you, but I will never be able to know. My guess is that your teacher will not be able to give you a good educational experience by helping you to be able to think as they are too interested in indoctrinating you. How sad.
After Christian's mother explained to him what Fox's response meant, the 10-year-old says he's upset Fox went after his teacher.
Yeah, fuck your teacher, kid. Your teacher's an idiot. She's indoctrinating you. Everything that kid said makes logical sense. And Virginia Fox is such a fucking idiot and an ideologue that she attacks the teacher. These folks, these Republicans, are so soft and thin-skinned. Point out that they're wrong and they just freak the fuck out.
Christian was the one who chose the topic of his essay.
I think that was wrong.
And why?
Because the school didn't do anything.
Emily Mango slammed Fox's response on social media and is now demanding an apology.
All right. Cool, huh? Cool Republicans. Fuck your teacher, kid. You need oil. You need a gas guzzler. Go get yourself a Suburban, an American-made Chevrolet. A classic called my rep about how their policy killed my friend's husband. Senator Sheehy wrote back that they were proud of their policy. Nice. Jesus Christ. Dolphin said, tell me you saw what our government did in China. Such disrespect, literally dropping F-bombs. I mean, I can't really criticize anybody for that. They're embarrassing us. So when China disrespected Trump to his face, and he took it as an honor, shake my head. He didn't even know what Xi said to him. I didn't see. Somebody asked me about like what, I don't know what Scott Bessent did. If you guys want to send it to Jen, if you have clips of stuff you want me to cover with China, I can tell you, I don't have a ton of stuff from China today, like 2 or 3 clips. So if there's stuff that I missed this morning, let me know. I wasn't searching for that. I think I view this trip to China as largely ceremonial, and everything that gets done is just going to be business deals behind closed doors. If we want to know what happened in China, pay attention to like business news in the next 3 months and start to see like the partnerships that were formed by massive corporations and Chinese corporations, and that's when we're going to find out what happened in China. But all this other shit, I don't think they're really doing anything over there. I think Trump's just taking his friends over there so that they can work out special deals, and he can set up backdoors, and then he can still say he's tough on China with the tariffs, but then backdoor it for all of his friends. When do I do call-ins? Every single day, whenever you want, Bambi. If you look up in the top left corner, the Venmo username is Jen's Discord username. You just message her there and she can bring you on. We use Discord as our service here, so you can call in whenever you want. And that's for anybody who disagrees with something that I have to say. You're welcome to come up. I want to talk about Kevin O'Leary. We've talked about this for a few days in a row now. Here's Kevin O'Leary in his flip-flops and his suit, which he thinks is cool, his Utah national security hat. And he's gone after two people. Now, I've been in contact with both of these people. I'm waiting to hear back. I hope we can get him on the show. But Kevin O'Leary is going full scorched earth, and it's one of the most pathetic things you'll see. Kevin O'Leary is such a fucking idiot, and he's so fucking corrupt. And nobody wants this data center in Utah. Legitimately, nobody wants it. And it doesn't benefit any of us. It just benefits him. He'll make hundreds of millions of dollars off this deal. And Republicans still are just going to support it because Kevin O'Leary's rich and they need rich people to have more money. But this is a 5-minute clip put together by the two people that Kevin O'Leary's going after.
He's also a cell operating inside of Utah. Gabby Finlayson. Gabby, what are you doing? And who's paying you?
Well, hi, hello. It's me, Gabby Finlayson. What am I doing? Apparently, we've reached the part of the Stratos data center journey where Kevin O'Leary goes on national Fox News to accuse us of being cells for the Chinese Communist Party.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, who would want us to stop building our electrical grid? Which adversary would want that? There's only one. It's China. So what I think is
only China could possibly oppose this massive data center, for sure. It's China that's doing it.
Happening, and I got my guys to go a deep dig into the IP addresses, and here's what we found out. This is fascinating. We found two cells inside of Utah. Elevate Strategies. Gabby Finlayson. Gabby, what are you doing? And who's paying you? So what I'm doing right now is, after getting this data, I'm calling out Gabby, operating in Utah.
So, hi Kevin. We are Elevate Strategies. This is Utah. You might not know it.
They run, they'll discuss this, but they run campaigns for Democrats in Utah. There is no money in running campaigns for Democrats in Utah. These are people who are scraping a living together, just running political campaigns. And he's like, the CCP is funding them to keep me from having a data center.
Because you're from Canada. This is where we live. Before we get into anything too serious, this is the very scary, very intimidating man that is threatening us. We are not taking the criticism of anyone who is wearing flip-flops and a suit on national television. You know, it's not every day you get called out by first and last name on Fox News by a Canadian billionaire trying to ruin my state, but here we are. Kevin, are you okay? But after sitting with this for a moment, we decided to take it as a compliment because, first of all, how are these men scared of us? Have you met us? Hi. What are we talking about?
I want a forensic audit of who's funding their platforms. Who is it? So these are proxies for the Chinese government's my argument. And if they're not, because I want them to be able to defend their name to Gabby, come out wherever you are.
Okay, Kevin, go ahead. Mr. Wonderful's Nancy Drew little detective agency, have at it, brother, because if we were Chinese operatives, we would be the worst operatives in the entire world. Someone alert Beijing that the payment portal to Jackie and I's Amex bills is somehow broken. As a reminder, we run Democratic campaigns in the state of Utah. If we were in this to be making money, we would be doing literally anything else. And you should know that because your job is to give small business owners advice. Yeah, you'd think that Kevin would understand the hellscape that is late-stage capitalism and consumerism that has led to you becoming a terrible, horrible billionaire who's trying to ruin our state. But if we're talking about audits, we should be auditing the Stratos project. We should be auditing all of the politicians that, I don't know, do you have property surrounding the Stratos project?
And it's weird to complain about the CCP while the president's having a business summit with the CCP. And our Fortune 500 companies are all doing business deals behind closed doors with the CCP. And they took the president's plane over there to meet with the CCP. None of this makes any sense.
Or maybe do you have interests that you were changing the laws before this was created? Hypothetically. We're just saying we should maybe look into people that stand to make hundreds of millions of dollars off this project, and let's be so for real and so clear, that is not us. It is not us. But sure, let's do the thing that all men who are scared and have no
Okay, Dolphin, I see it.
Which is accuse women who have a fully formed thought of being the problem and being Chinese operatives.
I love them so much. I hope we can get them on the show. I love the spirit here. I love how unserious they take Kevin O'Leary. That's how Kevin O'Leary should be treated by everybody, unseriously. He's not a serious person.
It's just like, what are we talking? How are we making this video right now? Like, it's so unserious.
And they should thank me for this promotion I'm giving them right now. And let's shine the light of transparency on what you're doing, because they're also going after the leadership in Utah itself. These two cells.
Well, Kevin.
Yeah, the leadership in Utah sucks. They're completely owned by corporations. Completely. If you know anything about the Utah legislature, even if you're a Republican, do we have any Utah people here? Raise your hand. I'd love to know if there's Republicans from Utah here. I can tell you, not a single Republican I know in Utah is happy with their governor or their legislature. It is well known in Utah that the legislature is captured by special interests, and they don't give a shit about the people of Utah. It's the Mormon Church, and then it's the same people. It's the fossil fuel industry. It's the tech companies. It's the same people that own Trump. And I honestly can't tell you anybody I know from the Republican side, even my friends that, or I guess colleagues at this point, I don't think they like me very much, that work for the GOP. They don't like them. I don't think anybody does. Kevin's picking a bad fight here. Oh, they're criticizing the leadership of Utah. Yeah. And nobody's going to care.
You say that like it's a scandal, and it's not, because we are damn proud of the fact that we will continue to be shining a light on the corruption and insanity that is going on in this state, not just with this project, but with many others. We will continue to be here doing that work long after you've forgotten about Utah, because you don't actually care about what happens to the state.
Let's show the people of Utah you actually care about them.
We don't need Kevin to teach us to care about Utah, because we've been here, we were born here, we work here, we have sacrificed a lot of time, unpaid jobs, just to try and make...
Jackie, good question. When you say, I don't know why there's a side view of him recording, he does it on purpose. It's his choice. He thinks he's super cool. He's showing that he's a billionaire, but he's one of you because he wears flip-flops. That's he's on Fox News, but that side view is his. He puts that out. He's so cool, wearing his flip-flops in his suit.
This state better. We're the ones that actually love this state, and that is why we care about its future, and we care about this.
Which, by the way, is a weird thing to do when you can just go on Fox News wearing whatever the fuck you want. Right? You're not required to wear a suit on Fox News. You can just go on a t-shirt. You can wear a tank top if you'd like to. So it's kind of like he's like, look at me, I'm sticking it to the man. No, you can wear whatever you want. You don't have to. You're just a dude. You can wear a t-shirt. Probably not no shirt. No shirt probably wouldn't work.
Data center and what it could do to the future of our state. I think it's important that we get to this. So out of frame, just behind Kevin over here while he's doing this Fox News hit, is a life-size cardboard cutout of himself. And by life-size, we mean extremely short. Maybe that's all he is. As the old saying goes, behind every terrible man...
Why does Santa have a big sack? He only comes once a year. Thank you, William.
...is a cardboard cutout of that same man. This is a real man, and he chose to wear this hat that says Utah National Security. When did they have these made? Was it a gift from Stuart Adams and Spencer Cox and Mike Schultz? I don't know. But please, Kevin, let us know where this dumbass hat came from. So we decided that we need to make a hat of our own, because we also have security concerns for this.
Yeah, I think that's fair. Kevin O'Leary was wearing 2 thongs on, and he had to wear 2 thongs because of leakage. Yeah, that's fine.
Of Utah, just slightly different. We are worried about the Great Salt Lake. We are worried about our carbon emissions. We are worried about our electrical grid. We are worried about the temperatures rising in our state. We care about the economic, environmental future of our state. So, if you would like to support the work that we are doing,
Bill, I just want you to know, if you just engage in the content today honestly and stop making everything about gender and stop being weird about these young women, if you can make it one day without being weird, I'll respond to your DMs. And I'll give you a 50% discount. I'll fuck you for a 50% discount. Cut it down to $50 and I'll fuck you. But you have to stop being weird in the chat, okay? And I'll get to you. Sorry, I'll get to my DMs after this. I promise I'll message you back. I know I've left you unread a bunch of times. But just stop being weird. And I'll give 15 minutes. I'll give you 15 minutes for $50. That's a bargain. Yeah, don't tell your dad. Don't tell you, because I charge him a lot more. All right, Bill? I appreciate you, bud.
that apparently has these billionaires shaking in their boots. You can buy our hat, which now says Utah Nature Security. And those donations of just $30 will go to support the work that we're doing. You can...
I'm definitely buying that hat. Utah Nature Security. What did they say to go?
of just $30 what we are doing that apparently has these billionaires shaking in their boots. You can buy our hat, which now says Utah Nature Security. And those donations of just $30 will go to support the work that we're doing. You can pre-order these hats, which will go to us and Alliance for a Better Utah, the two organizations
Alliance for a
called out
Better
by Kevin
Utah.
O'Leary.
All right.
So please support us because we might need lawyers. The link's in our bio. Come out, Kevin. For the record, and I never thought I would have to say this in my entire adult life, we are not Chinese foreign operatives. Never happened. He's paid by the Chinese government. So, bye, Kevin. Bye, Kevin. Put your dogs away and keep my name out of your fucking mouth.
Yes. I love them. He's going to borrow the $50 from his dad. Yeah. Tell you what, $250 for both of you, Bill. $250 for both of you. That's a good deal. Considering what I charge your dad, that's pretty good. Here's their website if you guys want to check that out. You can go donate to a better Alliance for a Better Utah. I don't know where you get their merch. Maybe you just go do a $30 donation. I'm definitely going to get one of those hats. I'm going to leave this up here on my notes. That hat's going to make its way here. Imagine the soft knock on his dad's door to ask for 50. Hey, Dad. Hey, Dad. Yeah, I was on the internet again, pretending that I own my own auto service. That's what I use as my screen name, so people don't know that I'm unemployed and I still live here. But anyways, I was just wondering, you know RTP? Yeah. That one? Yeah. Yeah. No, I know. When he comes over, I know I have to close my door when he comes over. I know that's not what I'm, Dad, that's not what I'm talking about. Do you think I could just borrow $50 for RTP? Just, I'll leave my door open. Please? How'd I do, Bill? Did I nail it? Bill, leave. Bill's auto service not here anymore. Did we scare you off there? Bill, let me know if I nailed that. I feel like I fucking nailed that. Thank you. Oscar performance worthy? Thank you. Does his dad have a loyalty punch card? No, he doesn't. He's never asked for any sort of discount. He just says, give it to me. Thank you. How do you think I should go? Maybe I should go into acting. I think I could do that. I could be like a stay-at-home 40-year-old pretending to have a business on the internet. That's what you would definitely do if you had an auto service company, is you would go on YouTube chats and you would insult women. That's for sure what you do. Is that Matt Damon? Thank you. Too high for this. You're never too high for this show. Okay. Then it didn't get better. And again, I'm just going to say, if anybody knows our friend Furcon, you don't have to put music behind all your clips because I want to use your clips. But Kevin O'Leary went on with Tucker Carlson, and now we have Tucker Carlson and Candace Owens on one show, and I'm going to force you to agree with Candace Owens and now Tucker Carlson.
With the uncertainty it brings has always been a dilemma in capitalism and in America, and it's a fair comment.
But how is this capitalism? If taxpayers are paying for some of it, how is that capitalism? That seems.
I think that's no different than building.
Tucker Carlson's a fucking asshole. He's so full of shit. I mean, he's been lying about capitalism his whole life. I don't know if this midlife crisis gave him a conscience or if this is just a show. I don't know. I don't particularly care. But these guys show up with Tucker Carlson not thinking they're going to have to explain what words mean.
Building an apartment building downtown in Austin, you can get incentives for that too, and that's just part of how it works. You can debate
how is that?
It's just part of how it works, guys. The government, when you're rich, the government just gives you money. That's part of how it works. That's capitalism.
You can debate
how is that? How is that capitalism? How is that free market? If politicians are handing you other people's money to do it, how is that capitalism?
Well, capitalism is built into the Constitution, which I think was genius because it couldn't have even thought that far ahead. Capitalism was
Built into the Constitution. Somebody want to explain that to me? How capitalism was built into the Constitution? Do you know what the reference is there? I don't even know what he's talking. Like, what part of the Constitution from our founding fathers built in capitalism? I don't know. What amendment do you think he's talking about? Shades, you're about 40 minutes behind.
was the idea of competition between states. Why is there an exodus out of New York City to Miami, where I live? Why are people leaving New Jersey and
Why is that capitalism? Why are people leaving? That's not an answer. Illusion said Bill and Dad's discount, good rates, better service.
Massachusetts and moving into my building? Nobody in my building is from Florida. They're all from other states.
I understand.
And all of these people moving, why? Because they're reaching retirement age, and the environment in these other states is not conducive to their lifestyle when they're
But
being
I think
taxed.
you're making my point for me. You just listed states that use a higher percentage of taxpayer dollars for private industry, and people are leaving those states, Illinois.
I don't know. Tucker Carlson's the voice of reason now. That's how bad it's gotten. We gotta listen to Tucker Carlson go after these billionaires. Appreciate him doing it. We'll take any help we can get. Burned Out Medic, thank you very much for the $5 on Venmo. Just a reminder, guys, we are crowdfunded, and anything you send, I'm happy to read. If you want to send a video that you want me to look at, send that through. You can send Cash App, Venmo, Venmo, PayPal, or a super chat. I'll go ahead and look at that as well. That's how we keep the show going. That's how we pay our bills. So I appreciate that in advance.
Stop advancement.
Go there. All right. So I guess we're on the side with Candace Owens and Tucker Carlson now. I guess they're just with us sometimes. Let's get to Trump's visit to Beijing. Here he is first just glazing the shit out of Xi. And I don't mind any of this, if we're being honest. It just is. I just wonder as I'm watching this, like what goes through the mind of a Republican watching this. You've been taught, and we have been taught, that China is the enemy. China's the bad guy. They're communist. They're crazy. Their leader is a dictator. The people of their country are basically prisoners, and they have no freedom, right? They say that all the time. So I'm just wondering what goes through Republicans' heads when they see Trump over there talking like this.
Well, President Xi, I want to thank you very much. First of all, that was an honor like few have ever seen before. And I think I was particularly impressed by those children. They were happy. They were beautiful. The military is obvious. It couldn't be better, but
the guy covering up the Epstein files should probably stop using the word beautiful when he talks about children. That's just a tip.
Children were amazing, and they represent so much. And I know they represent so much to you. You and I have known each other now for a long time. In fact, the longest relationship of our two countries that any president and president has had. And that's, to me, an honor. We've had a fantastic relationship. We've gotten along. When there were difficulties, we worked it out. I would call you, and you would call me. And whenever we had a problem, people don't know, whenever we had a problem, we worked that out very quickly.
Does this sound like the China that they keep telling us about? It doesn't sound like he's talking about the same China.
We're going to have a fantastic future together. Such respect for China, the job you've done. You're a great leader. I say it to everybody. You're a great leader.
Sounds like they're dating.
Sometimes people don't like me saying it, but I say it anyway because it's true. I only say the truth. And I just want to say on behalf of all of the great delegation that we have the greatest businessmen, the biggest, and I guess the best in the world. We have amazing people, and they're all with me. Every single one of them. We asked the top 30 in the world. Every single one of them said yes. And I didn't want the second or the third in the company. I wanted only the top. And they're here today to pay respects to you.
Why'd you bring your son then? Why'd you bring Eric? Eric's not top. But this is weird too. He's bringing. I brought all the best ones. How do you feel about that, MAGA? That all the people that he brought are just like the richest people, and he's just telling President Xi, "I got all the best ones. All the richest ones are here."
To China, and they look forward to trade and doing business, and it's going to be totally reciprocal on our behalf. So I really look very much forward to our discussion. It's a big discussion. There are those that say this is maybe the biggest summit ever. They can never remember anything like it. I can say in the United States, people aren't talking about anything else.
No, we're talking about other stuff, but You'd like us not to be talking about anything else. You'd like us to ignore affordability. You'd like us to ignore the cover-up of the Epstein files. You'd like us to ignore your dumbass war. But this isn't first on virtually anybody's mind.
But it's an honor to be with you. It's an honor to be your friend. And the relationship between China and the USA is going to be better than ever before. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Cute. But I'm just, does that seem like the China that we're talking about now? Here is Jensen Huang, the Nvidia CEO. You tell me if you think this is really why he's here.
Of course.
Sorry, it's quiet.
In one of the most important summits in human history. And the two presidents, President Xi and President Trump, have such a wonderful relationship. This is an incredible opportunity for us to rely on the relationships to build a much better partnership.
Did you get any specific customers for your chips for the H200?
We didn't really talk about. I'm here to support the president and to represent the United States.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, that's what you're there for. You're there to support the president and represent the United. You don't represent us. You're there to sell your chips. Do you see how he almost answered it and then he changed his mind here?
We didn't really talk about. I'm here to support the president.
We really didn't talk about that yet. Wait a minute. Hold on. I'm here in a support role. I forgot that I'm not here on a business trip. I forgot I'm not using the federal government to gain leverage and loopholes for my business. I forgot. Sorry. I'm just here to represent the American people.
And to represent the United States.
What do you think of China's economic development right now?
I'm here to focus on one thing, just to represent the United States and supporting the president. Today's morning ceremony was very uplifting. President Xi was very inspiring, very welcoming, and President Trump was...
God, the Glaze Fest. It was inspiring. It was uplifting.
Very inspiring, very welcoming as well. And so the two of them had an excellent meeting. Thank you.
Yeah, for sure. For sure all that's true and not just something you have to say to glaze Donald Trump so that you can get whatever the fuck you want. He's so easy to manipulate. Really kind of sad. Nancy, sorry, I should have said this before. Let me be clear on this. When I said if you want me to watch a clip, you can send, let's call it a minimum $2 donation if you want me to watch a clip. And then you need to send the clip to Jen because it won't load if you send it via Cash App. But just so we're clear, not everybody send clips. But if there's one you want me specifically to watch that's on topic, let's call it $2 minimum. And then you need to DM that to Jen because I can't click on the links that you send through like Cash App or PayPal. So that was for you, Nancy. Phoenix said, Trump sounds like he forgot to write the best man speech at a wedding and is just winging it. Yeah, Stephen Miller probably wouldn't write it for him. I'm not writing this. I can't even be xenophobic. I have no skills for this. Let's talk about some insider trading that's been absolutely happening by the Donald. And on May 8th, Trump went out, and for some reason, Michael Dell was in the office, and Trump said, go out and buy Dell. Buy a Dell. They're great. I don't know much about computers. I don't have a Dell. Nobody has suggested when I was looking at computers, hey, bro, go get a Dell. So all I know is it's never been suggested to me. RTP can't put two and two together, and that Trump is schooling China with a smile. Panama out, Venezuela out, Cuba next, Iran out, squeezing China's cheap oil. Thanks, son. I can put my 2 balls on your dad's chin. No, I can do that. That's 2. 2 lips of your dad, 2 of my balls on his chin. Nobody cares. Anyways, then Dell jumped 12%. So Trump said start buying here. It went up 12%, dipped back down. Then he said it again on March 2nd. Then again on March 11th and March 23rd, Donald Trump bought $5 million in Dell stock from right before this until March 23rd. $5 million. The president is just, so he's up, year to date, he's up 91%. Didn't Dell donate a bunch of money to... Oh, that's right. That's what they did. That's why they were in the White House. That's right. They gave the money for those Trump accounts for kids. You're right. Yeah. We ever going to do anything? Ever going to do anything about this? It's so boring crying about the same stuff day in and day out. Yeah. Look, why does he have to commit crimes every day? What would you, Renee, what's a more important topic today? What would you rather us talk about today? Instead of you crying today, why don't you suggest a topic and we can go from there? What do you want to talk about today? What are we missing? Then Hannity, of course, got an exclusive interview with Trump, so I'm guessing Hannity's over there too. Here's what he had to say about the discussion about the war with Iran. Now, Bill's Auto Service, I think it was Bill's Auto Service, said earlier, you got to put 2 and 2 together. This is about Iran. This is about ending the war with Iran. Well, let's see what Trump had to say about that.
The issue, and you've been asked about it, and you've spoken about it, and that is China's support of Iran. How big a discussion was that today?
We discussed it. I mean, when you say support, they're not fighting a war with us or anything.
Oh, wait a minute. I thought we were at war with China. Everybody always tells me that we're at war with China. Oh, no. Bill said my dad's dead. Fun fact, your dad's dead. Fun fact, I'm a necrophiliac. Blue Chew. Give me all the dicks. There you go, Bill. Bad Bambi, what are you talking about? The redistricting crisis. What is the crisis you're talking about? We've talked about redistricting a bunch of times. What have we missed so far? Back to Trump.
He said he's not going to give military equipment. That's a big statement. He said that today. That's a big statement. He said that strongly. But at the same time, he said, they buy a lot of their oil there, and they'd like to keep doing that.
The issue.
Oh, so China's not the enemy. They're not negotiating the end of the war with Iran, so I guess that part's wrong. What are we doing over there? Is there something good that happened over there that I don't know about? Nasri said, this is a safe space for gay closeted MAGA. That's true. This is a safe space for everybody. You are safe to be here. Got those. Did Bambi, sorry, but what's the crisis? Bambi, what is the redistricting crisis? Okay, I'll give you my take just briefly then. The Republicans decided that once they figured out that they were going to lose the midterms, which has been obvious for more than a year now, at least in the House, what they did is Donald Trump called Texas and told Texas, like, hey, I'm going to need you to redistrict everything. The only way we're going to win is if we cheat. And so Texas is like, cool, we'll cheat. And that was challenged. And then they started floating these ideas in other Republican states. And the Democrats said, okay, if you're going to do it, we're going to do it. And by doing it, what I mean is not gerrymandering. Everybody gerrymanders. Everybody has always gerrymandered since it was allowed. Now, Renee, if we're going to have an honest conversation, do you know how many Republicans have ever voted for a bill to end gerrymandering? Or how many times the Republicans have voted for a bill to end gerrymandering? If you don't know, that's fine. But do you by chance know how many times they've tried to end gerrymandering? It's 0. Democrats have had this bill up, I think, since 2010. I'm going to pull it up real quick. Don't know how many times it's been reintroduced, but if we look at, you have a Proposition 4 in 2018, which was citizen-led. Democrats supported the initiative. It was called the Better Boundaries. It passed, banning partisan gerrymandering and creating an independent commission. Excuse me, this was just in Utah. Why is it giving me just Utah? Sorry. There we go. For the People Act in 2019 and the Freedom to Vote Act in 2021 and 2022. The For the People Act was brought up twice in 2019 and 2021. So at least 4 times Democrats have tried to end gerrymandering, and the Republicans vote against it every single time. So, Renee, let's be honest. If Republicans decide to start gerrymandering and cheating, what else would what's the move for the Democrats? Should they just not do it? Should they not go gerrymander and play the same game? I hate all gerrymandering. I think it should be illegal. I think it should be done away with, but Republicans vote against it. So it's here, and it's here to stay. And why do you think Republicans vote against it? Because they need it. They can't win without it. That's not to say that in Democrat-run states that they don't gerrymander, because they do, because it's legal. And when you allow politicians to do things that keep themselves in power, they will do those things. But Republicans are the reason that gerrymandering exists. I think that the Supreme Court is captured. I think that's a terrible fucking ruling. And I've asked this question a million times, and I've never gotten an answer for it. And Renee, this is the question I do want to ask you. Republicans say that the Supreme Court ruled that redistricting, now I think that I might be mixing up states, so somebody correct me if it's a state, but I think it was Louisiana. They ruled that the redistricting was unconstitutional because it was along racial lines, right? They just said that as a double negative. Probably wanted to clear that up. What did I say as a double negative? I can't remember. Sorry. Whatever I said, let's pretend I didn't. How is it that if you have a district that is majority black and you create that district because it's majority black, that's racist? But if you undo that district and split up black votes into multiple other districts that extend past like metropolitan areas into rural areas, why is that then not racist? That's why I have a problem with all of this. And I have a problem with the Supreme Court. That ruling doesn't make any fucking sense logically. If you are considering race at all, then it's racist. It's all or it's nothing. You can't say it's only racist when you're considering black voters and giving them more of a voice, but by ripping voices away from black voters, that is not racist. Right? So that's my take. Republicans are corrupt. They're trying to cheat so they can win. You can say both sides gerrymander, that's true, but only one side tries to end it. So once again, Democrats slightly better than Republicans, which is why I think that you have this opinion of me that I am just a Democratic shill. But the Republicans don't do anything good for you. Not one thing. Their tax cuts don't work for you. Their tax policy doesn't work for you. Their foreign policy doesn't work for you. Their education policy doesn't work for you. Their healthcare policy doesn't work for you. Their energy policy doesn't work for you. There's literally nothing that they do other than complain about Democrats. And the Democrats, again, are just slightly better. We don't get nice things in this country because Republicans exist. If Republicans had better ideas, it would force Democrats to have better ideas. Democrats are able to basically coast along with basically no ideas. They get to keep the cash in the cash flow by allowing lobbyists and special interest groups to kind of run everything. You can come to Congress, you can be there for 2 terms, you can leave, and you're set for life because some lobbyist is going to swallow you up, use your experience, and they're going to make sure that you have a paycheck the rest of your fucking life. You can look at Kyrsten Sinema here in Arizona. She was there for 2 terms. And now she's making a fucking fortune. And what is she doing? She's out there advocating for data centers. And she's going to these towns and she's like, look, the data centers are going to go somewhere. So you might as well get the jobs. Even though it's going to fuck up the air, even though it's going to raise energy prices, you might as well get the jobs. And she's getting millions of dollars. Good on that? Bambi, thanks for backing me up. I appreciate that. All right. Bambi's saying nice things to me. I appreciate that. I don't know everybody else that's going after her, what she said, but I appreciate that. And I hope that answers your question, Renee. All right. Moving on. Let's talk about another thing that Republicans aren't doing. And this is just as clear as day. I want to keep harping on Doug Burgum because what Trump didn't realize he was getting in Doug Burgum is somebody who's not that bright. Doug Burgum is a former governor, I believe, of North Dakota. And he is an oil lobbyist, and he's not good at this. And he keeps getting cornered with the worst argument when it comes to energy. We covered it yesterday, and I think we'll cover it again today. Like, China is dominating us. We are nowhere near energy dominant, and we're also not energy independent, but China is miles ahead of us. And we're going backwards currently. Getting rid of wind, solar, and I guess, I don't know if have we cut hydropower? I don't know. But cutting wind and solar has been a massive mistake.
Respond quickly on one thing. The Lazard analysis that suggests that this is the cheapest form of energy All of these projects you're describing in Nevada have one thing in common. When the sun goes down, they produce zero electricity. And
here's what he's trying to do. So this is the Republican math, and this is the oil lobbyist math, just so you can understand what Doug Burgum's trying to do, because he's not smart enough to actually explain what he's saying. So he compares like renewable versus what he calls baseline energy. And baseline energy essentially is energy that you can access at any time because it doesn't require wind or solar. And then he says, so when you talk about the acquisition cost of solar energy or the acquisition cost of wind energy, meaning you take how much it cost you to build the solar panel or the wind turbine, how much the upkeep takes, how much the manufacturing was, how much the implementation, or excuse me, the construction of that was, and any costs associated with upkeep. And you take that cost and then you take the energy that it produces and you figure out like where your break-even point is. And when they do that, the energy produced versus how much it costs, it's the cheapest type of energy. What Doug and the oil companies do is they say they have a completely different model. So they take solar, for example, and they say, okay, solar produced this much energy. Let's just say it's a gigawatt. If solar produced this much energy, and let's say it costs to produce a gigawatt of energy, it cost us $1 billion. There you would say like, okay, what is the cost per kilowatt hour? And you could break it down and you could find out if it's cheaper than gas. But what the oil companies do is they take that and then they say, okay, well, the sun's only shining for an average of 8 hours a day. So now we've got to times that by 3, what it should cost. And they take the number of what it cost and they times that by 3. For some reason, they think that makes sense. And so their alternate math is to say it's 3 times more expensive because only 8 hours of the day the sun is shining, and so we have to take that cost and actually move it up, which doesn't make any sense. You're not acquiring more energy, and it's not costing you more. It just doesn't make any sense at all. Especially now that we have batteries and we can store solar energy. We're very capable of storing solar energy. That's one of the biggest parts of Tesla's business now is battery capacity and external storage. So Doug can't even explain this in a way that any member of Congress knows what he's talking about. I had to go look at his reports to figure out what the fuck they were talking about, and that's what it is. They are making up new math and can't explain it so that they can say actually oil is cheaper.
this nation over-rotated towards intermittent forms of energy, and the idea that we could add intermittent and shut down baseload is what put our grid at deep risk.
This is the other big fucking lie. It is not binary. It is not one or the other. And for my friends Bambi and Renee, I need you to recognize what they're doing here. What he says is, what does he say? He says baseline and renewable, I think. Let's see.
Our grid at deep risk, and the idea that we could add intermittent and shut down baseload is what put our...
The idea that we could add intermittent and shut down baseload is what caused the problem. Now, intermittent is renewable energy that's conditional, right? And baseline is basically oil and natural gas. Nobody is saying that you have to choose one or the other. We're saying we should get as much energy as we possibly can from wind and from solar because it's cheaper. So if we can get 90% of our energy from wind and solar, great. We'll use LNG and gas for everything else, or coal, or nuclear, whatever. But we should focus on getting the cheapest energy we possibly can. Nobody's saying you can't have both. They're saying we should try and get the cleanest, least expensive energy possible. That's how you know this guy is owned by the oil companies, because none of his arguments make any sense, and they're not counter arguments to anything that anybody is advocating for.
Our grid at deep risk, and the idea that it's the cheapest, if you want to add intermittent, you have to keep everything else.
Duh. Everybody agrees. Nobody's arguing that.
And so
since when is wind cheaper? Always. Wind is always cheaper. See, this is one of those things. If we look here, and we'll just pull it up. So if we go to Google, what is the cheapest energy to produce per kilowatt hour? This is where you guys are going to have to either call Google woke or realize that everybody in your party has been lying to you. Onshore wind and utility-scale solar are generally the cheapest sources of new electricity generation per kilowatt hour, with costs falling between 3.7 to 8 cents per kilowatt hour For wind, 3.8 to 7.8 cents per kilowatt hour for solar. While existing hydropower is extremely cost-effective, new renewable infrastructure now holds the lowest levelized cost of energy in many regions. There you go. Now ask yourself, Bambi, Renee, and I appreciate you guys being here in good faith, who would be incentivized to convince your politicians to say that wind and solar are actually more expensive and ineffective? Who would benefit from that? Just let's take it out of politics. Who in this country would benefit from less energy production from wind and solar? It would obviously be the oil companies, right? And the LNG companies. Nuclear, if we had it. Yeah, exactly. Chevron, Shell. Now, who did they pay? When you go look at their donations, do you think that when you look at who they paid, that the people that they paid are saying the same stuff? This is one of those real clear ones. This is one of those times that should be like de-radicalizing if you're a current Republican. This should help you de-radicalize. This is an obvious lie. This is I understand you didn't vote MAGA. I get it. I'm just saying, like, wherever you are. This should be so clear that they're flat out lying. They don't care about you, and this administration will lie right to your fucking face. Why? Because they're cashing checks from oil companies.
So we have to have a discussion about the total cost of grid, not the cost of the incremental, because it's true on an incremental basis. You may have an incremental source, but it doesn't work. The whole machine doesn't work when the sun goes down. And there's examples from around the world of this happening. And so
Yeah, everybody knows that. That's what batteries are. Nasri said Trump paid the Danish not to install wind farms. I learned that for the first time yesterday. Damien, thanks for joining the dollar train. I appreciate you very much. Get this
cherry picking an analysis that doesn't look. We're looking at reliable, affordable, and secure. And I would encourage everybody here to get in a skiff and to understand that most of these components, very few of these components for the solar industry are coming from the U.S. They're coming from China.
Who cares? Who cares? We're buying our oil from other countries. These oil rigs that we're building, like, is that all built in the United States? Who cares if it's coming from China?
And just like we had with Huawei equipment, there's modifications on those that would allow foreign governments to interfere with our grid. And I just want to have a rational discussion with everybody.
There are modifications on solar panels and wind turbines that would allow the Chinese government to interfere with our grid. Sure, for sure. Yeah, that's real. None of our grid though can be influenced. It's like entirely made in China, but none of our grid can be influenced. This is silly.
But this is not an ideological thing. It's about reliable, affordable, and secure. Those three things.
I'm all for rational conversation about it. I'll just say we are not shutting down baseload energy to build solar. And I will contend we have battery storage as well. So
we're going to move on to the next question. The
Chairman, I request unanimous consent to enter into the record this amazing new technology that apparently the Secretary is unaware of. It's a battery. China's figured it out. That's why they're cleaning our clock on clean energy, but I want to enter that into the record.
That objection?
Like, does he know what a battery is? Has he ever heard of this before?
So ordered.
Could we also include the China?
Do you realize that the oil companies fund a lot of teacher unions' pension plans? I don't care. I'm not advocating you get rid of the oil companies. I'm advocating that you stop giving them handouts and that you allow cheaper renewable energy to exist. And I assume you're talking about taxes. Like, I don't know. The only way it would fund like a pension plan is if they're paying, like let's say in Texas, maybe they pay a special tax that goes to pay for teachers' pensions. Yeah, cool. They should still pay that, and they'll still pay that, and then we'll also have cheaper energy. Cool.
China is the world's largest emitter as part of that submission.
And let's include the fact that far more clean energy was created in China last year. The gentleman mentioned their coal. The coal was a fraction of the new energy.
We're going to move on to the next member.
Wait, want to know how we know that they're lying? Let's talk about Texas. It couldn't be more MAGA. This was the energy production on May 12th for ERCOT in Texas. This yellow right here, this is the energy production. This is solar. Blue is natural gas. Purple is storage, which comes from solar. You can go down here, but this is coal and lignite, which is in brown. Nuclear in green. Wind in green, in this other color of green. 50% of the oil production just yesterday in Texas was renewable energy. They're investing heavily in renewable energy. Free energy is a lie. Yeah, it's true. Nobody's saying free energy. Renewable energy is real, though. What would happen to Texas without renewable energy? The grid would collapse, like it has been. What did Texas do when they had those rolling brownouts? What did they do to try and fix this? They invested heavily in solar and wind and batteries. You can see it right here. You can see what they decided to do. Before they built those LNG facilities, gas was being burnt off. Teacher plans opt to buy oil and gas stock. Oil doesn't directly fund them. They could shift to another stock. Okay, so I didn't know. I know that sometimes there will be like a special tax on an industry that pays for certain things. I don't know if that's if any state uses oil and gas revenue to pay for teacher pensions. If you're talking about just investing, then yeah. Then yeah, they could pick a different stock, but we don't need to keep giving them handouts just so that teacher unions can buy their stock. I want to show this too. This was Representative Min with Burgum, and this is where we'll get to the difference between us and China and why China is absolutely beating our ass. A handful of dipshits going, you should move to China in the chat. Let me check this actually real quick. This was from Jen. Said, for Jay to see a clip of Tim Wise' take on racism rebranding. Let me pull this up in a second. This will actually come into play with one of my other topics, so I'll pull that up in a second. Let's go to Representative Min.
Dominant Secretary, I just ask you a simple yes/no question. Do you agree that
China's losing a lot of industries? Which ones, Peter? Which industries is China losing? Thank you, Purdy Kiki, for the gifted subs. I appreciate that. This guy Fox says, what happened to these people to make them defend corporations and the rich so desperately? I don't get it. What happened to them is they always were just repeating what they were told. And now they're being told a much dumber lie that like these corporations are great and that they're helping them. So it's just a fealty to the Republican Party or to Donald Trump. They're lying for no reason. And maybe they know they're lying. Maybe they don't know they're lying.
Also trying to achieve total energy dominance? Yes, no? Okay, that's not a yes, no. I'll reclaim my time. Do you know how much new energy China put online last year? New energy.
Intermittent or baseload?
And all energy. 543 gigawatts. Do you know how much of that was renewable?
I do not know how much of it did not
operate. 434 gigawatts.
Just to be clear, 543 gigawatts. Remember that number? 109 of that wasn't renewable energy. That's an insane. When you find out how much energy we produced, you're going to realize how big 543 gigawatts is.
80%,
but only when the wind is blowing and the sun is shining.
They put on 434 gigawatts annually. 80% of the new energy that they put online last year was renewable. 80%. You don't have to take my word for it. I'm Asian, so I'm good at math, but you can look that up. 80% of the energy they put up was renewable. Meanwhile, the United States, under your quote total energy dominance strategy of rejecting renewable energy.
See, this is the problem here, Eon. Like, let's not talk about China's humanitarian record. We're not talking about China's humanitarian record. What we're doing is we're learning from China, right? Because China does do some things well. But what you're doing right now is the same thing that distracts America consistently from ever getting anything done correctly. China's showed us how you can increase renewable energy and how you can increase your output. And when we show that, you go, yeah, but they do bad things. Yeah, this isn't a competition. This isn't a fucking beauty contest. We're not saying who's better, or China or America. We're saying who's doing better in producing energy. China. Should we learn from that? Yeah, let's steal their ideas. That's what they do from us. Why don't we look at the things they do well and steal that and do it better? But this is why we struggle to ever get shit done. That's how the political mind thinks. I'm saying China's doing better than America, and a Republican's like, oh, but they do bad things. Cool, we can talk about that another time, but right now we're talking about what we should do to bring down energy prices.
Put up 53 gigawatts of new energy last year. Less than 10% of what China put up.
Sorry, just go back to hear the claim.
total energy dominance strategy of rejecting renewable energy put up 53 gigawatts of new energy last year, less than 10% of what China put up.
543 gigawatts versus 53. We're way behind. Way behind. And our strategy is to use oil and natural gas.
Now, you're a clear bias against...
What is China doing better? They're adding energy, and it's renewable energy, so it's cheaper and it's cleaner. And if we're going to win the AI battle, perhaps we shouldn't be doing 10% of the energy generation that they are doing.
Renewable energy, in the face of all evidence, is harming our national security, harming our ability to have energy independence, and putting us further and further behind the Chinese. And the cancellation of Total Energy's offshore wind leases last year is a case study on your department's economically illiterate and unlawful energy strategy. In March 2026,
China's people have a higher standard of living than the people in the U.S., and they both do bad things. Great point, Amy Lynn. Again, if you want to go look at like the mistreatment of prisoners in China, we do stuff like that too. I'm not going to try and like compare the two. I don't know enough. Maverick said, I agree with your point on China producing our energy. We have a lot more hurdles, though, to get these things started. Yes, the hurdles we have to get these things started, they're called Republicans, Maverick. They're called lobbyists. The reason we can't produce energy like China, and this is one of those arguments for why I don't want to live in China, but sometimes it works, is they get to just push this shit through. Like you have single control, and they push this through. But the reason that we can't do renewable energy currently is MAGA and the Republicans. They're standing in the way of this type of energy production so they can pay off their buddies in the oil industry.
Trump settled with Total Energies, a French oil company, for $1 billion in exchange for cancellation of its offshore wind leases. If completed, Total Energies projects would have produced enough energy to power 1.7 million homes in the United States. Furthermore, the administration paid this company $1 billion again from a...
All right, he's talking about Total Energy, and this does get confusing. So we scrapped this project, and then we repaid them money that they had put down. So we did give them money. They gave $1 billion, and that $1 billion went into a slush fund. And then when the Trump administration came in and canceled all these contracts, we took that $1 billion and we sent it back to them. So this is going to get convoluted. I think Mr. Min maybe didn't know this. I'm not sure. But that's what he's going to talk about here next.
Funds strictly reserved for settlements resulting in active or imminent litigation requiring monetary compensation, which was not the case with Total, because in fact, in March 2026, the CEO of Total told CNBC that their company had approached the federal government for reimbursement after Trump had paused all offshore wind permitting. So again, a simple yes-no question for you. While constituents deal with sky-high utility prices, do you think it's appropriate that your department sent $1 billion to a foreign oil company to stop producing energy?
There's so many things that you said that are false or misleading. I don't know where to start.
Start with the question.
But I will start with one thing, that Total was refunded their money. They essentially gave...
Eon Times, you got to check your facts there on if you own your home in China. I think you might be thinking of Russia.
Gave the U.S. government a interest-free loan, and their money was refunded to them.
I know you've described this as a refund in the past. I'm not interested in semantics. You gave them $1 billion to stop producing energy.
It's not semantics.
It is semantics. You gave $1 billion out of a fund reserved for settlements. Is that not true? You gave them $1 billion out of a fund reserved for legal settlements.
I didn't give them anything. We refunded their money, but only if
you gave them $1 billion, right? How are you going to characterize it?
Which they've already invested in energy.
I'll reclaim my time. Thank you very much.
Gotcha. So we canceled it, gave them their money back. Here you go, Eon Times. We'll just do this. Approximately 90 to 96% of households in China own their homes, giving the country one of the highest home ownership rates in the world. This rate is exceptionally high in both urban, roughly 87%, and rural, around 96% areas, driven by post-1990s privatization of public housing. Now, if we say U.S. residents, let's see if we're doing better than them. 65.4% of U.S. households own their home. So it looks like they're doing way better at housing too, Eon. We could just do like a whole China debunk all day long. China would be self-inflicting harm by only doing business with one party. I don't know what that means. All right, last one from Bergham. And again, he's just not really equipped for this, and he gets his pants pulled down regularly, including in this exchange with, what is his name? Magaziner? Is that how you say that? Representative Magaziner? I don't know if that's how you say that.
I just have a question. Can you explain why the states that have pursued the policies you're describing have the highest power prices in the country?
Does North Dakota have one of the highest power prices in the country? Because you have one of the highest percentage of renewables.
We weren't pursuing a policy of let's shut down our base load and go with renewables.
No one's talking about it. You have 40% renewables.
It's
the right thing when you were governor. You knew it was the right thing when you were governor. Why isn't it the right thing now?
We're going to move on to the next
question. False.
The highest energy costs overall, so including gas and electricity, Hawaii is number 1. Wyoming, it looks like number 2. Then Connecticut, Massachusetts, California, Alaska. Nobody has done what Doug Burgum is saying and saying that you needed to get rid of base load and only do renewable. It was how much of the base load can you replace with renewable energy? They do want to replace base load with renewable.
You knew it was the right thing when you were governor. Why isn't it the right thing now?
We're going to move on to the next
false.
The data doesn't lie, Mr. Secretary.
No, the data doesn't lie. States that have high renewables pay the highest prices.
Does North Dakota pay the highest price?
Iowa. Okay. Chair recognizes the gentleman.
That's right. Think of the birds. We got to think of the birds. Everybody knows MAG is all about the birds. All right. What you're discounting Google? That's pretty on brand for MAGA. Oh yeah, right. Look, I'm going to trust Google. You literally went from nobody owns their homes in China to, oh well, they don't own the land, to nobody trusts Google. That was a hell of a retreat you just made there. China might not be amazing, but they help their people more than we do. So what does that make us? Yeah, facts. You're treated better as a citizen in China than you are here in the United States. I don't know why you guys want to consistently just like blow ourselves. What if we just made things better? It doesn't do you any good to cheerlead the United States, country that you live in. I don't know why people do that. What does it do for you to just say we're the greatest? Why not consistently be giving constructive criticism? What Chinese propaganda did we believe? This is you. Like, if we say China, you're just like Chinese propaganda. I don't know. All right, this is where this will come up. I wanted to show you this. This is a Louisiana resident, apparently named Marshawn. I was not able to independently verify that, but he went and sat before the legislature, who is doing what all Confederate states now are doing, where they're redistricting and trying to make sure that black people don't have a voice anymore. And he'd had enough. Chris I.am said, flywheel storage, another form of battery storage, is being surpassed because of the cost. I don't know much about flywheel storage. I need to look that up. Here is Marshawn.
I have no doubt in my mind that the map's going to pass. If y'all can give us less than 0 seats, you would do it. Y'all do this under the orders of somebody that said the Civil Rights Act was harmful to white people, that it caused reverse racism. RFK said that black children are overfilled on antidepressants and that they need to be reparented on different farms, all of them. Pete Hegseth constantly brings Doug Wilson to the Pentagon to give a prayer service. Doug Wilson is the same pastor that said that slave owners were on strong spiritual ground. I don't have no belief in no morality on anybody that followed Donald Trump. If you wasn't with this map, you wouldn't be underneath this president. You wouldn't be in your party. You would stand up, you would stand against it, you would speak out about it. So as far as I'm concerned, if you here as one of these Trump Republicans, you already showed us who you are. You showed us what you want to do. And I believe the country as a whole is rebuking your party. Y'all are in a death spiral. That's why y'all have to redistrict. That's why y'all have to cheat. That's why Trump got to go to Texas and say he entitled to 5 more seats. It's because y'all know what y'all doing is abhorrent. We letting our people die in Iran based on false pretense that Tulsi Gabbard and Joe Kent said ain't real. Y'all okay with all that. So I'm positive y'all gonna be okay with the maps. But the beautiful thing is, the children that y'all have made and the people that's younger than y'all don't support none of this racism that y'all want.
He said his TikTok is Nola the Professor. Thank you.
The MAGA party is the last breath of the Confederacy. and I'll be happy to see millennials and Gen Z bury y'all. There will be no more of your party. The midterms gonna come, y'all gonna get wiped out. Trump gonna get dragged out of the White House, and I'm gonna love every second of it. Because y'all loved every second of the suffering that he caused to everybody in this country. And worldwide, we starve in Cuba. We bomb Nigeria. We holding Zimbabwe and Zambia hostage for their minerals. We don't want to give them aid support. The pro-lifers that say all life is special, y'all letting kids die of AIDS. What part of your Bible say that? Point out the scripture. I think everybody would love to see it. And we would love to see y'all in the midterms.
No, it's his shirt says Trump was, or his hat says Trump was wrong about everything, which somebody makes a joke about here at the end, and it gets laughed out of the room. Then I wanted to show you this. This is in Louisiana. This is Gary Chambers.
If you are taking,
just absolutely unloads on Louisiana Republicans. Again, I have no notes here. I'm gonna sit back and I'm gonna let you enjoy this. As a reminder, we are crowdfunded. Anything you can do to help us knock out that gift goal by the end of the live would be greatly appreciated. We've got about an hour and 40 minutes left. Cash App, PayPal, and Venmo. And Super Chats are the way to do that. If you want to join us for our members-only events, make sure you're a paid member on YouTube or Twitch. I think they'll start at about $5, and you can join the Discord for free. If anybody disagrees with the stuff that I'm talking about or wants to have a discussion about it, you can message JenDub1, JenNDUBB1 on Discord, and she can bring you up here to talk to me.
Seats from black people, which if you are taking seats from black people, which we are entitled to by the Constitution of this country, then you are a thief, in my opinion. And I'm entitled to that opinion.
I will not be
and
called
any
a thief.
senator, if you're offended by it, that's on you, not me.
Right.
Now, if that triggers...
I will not be called a thief. Yeah, you will, bitch. You will be called a thief, and you will sit there, and you will take it, you bitch. They can say whatever they want to you.
You, Senator, then you should go to bed tonight, and when you go to bed tonight, talk to your God and ask your God to change your heart, because that's conviction right there. Conviction. That's what it was. It did something in your soul. It made you feel something. And that's what happened when black men show up. When black men with courage, conviction, and righteousness show up, it triggers something in you. And you feel a way about it. So you try to limit us, you try to steal from us, and you think that we don't understand it. Every one of the black men we put up before you stand head and shoulders above every one of you on this committee. And you know it. And it does something in you that makes you feel inferior. So then you come with these white supremacist tactics because you have the numbers, but you don't have the courage. Because if you were really visionary leaders, you'd run against these black men with fair maps, and you get your whooped. I am not surprised by the things that we see happening in our country.
This question, Maverick. You said black Americans are not entitled to having a district just because they are black. That's crazy. Who said they had a district just because they were black? How did you determine that their district was just because they were black? Is it because there's a lot of black people in that district? They're not totally black. How'd you come up with that? Are districts that are majority white? Do they have that because they're white? There's more time here, but I want to answer that question, Maverick. How did you come to that conclusion that that's why the district was majority black? The district. Did you look at it? Let's pull up the Louisiana map here. You tell me how you determined that this was racist. Don't go quiet now. Don't go quiet now, Maverick. I'm just responding to what statement? Which statement are you responding to? You said they don't deserve a map just because they're black. What makes you say that their district was just because they were black? Anybody can answer with Maverick. This is the difference between progressives and conservatives is like thought. Did you think about what you said before you said it, or did you just kind of say generically, oh, people shouldn't get a district just because of the color of their skin, which I would agree with. Did you respond? Sorry, it stayed up there. His first statement about it being guaranteed? All right, let's go back. Where are we at? We're at 120.
People, which we are entitled to by the Constitution of this. If you are taking seats from black people, which we are entitled to by the Constitution of this country, then you are a thief, in my opinion. And
how's that untrue? That's not because they're black. There were black people that had a seat. They all lived, these people that are here all lived near each other. It was majority black. They broke it up so that they could add more white voters to it. He didn't say black seats. Let's go back again.
If you are taking seats from black people, which we are entitled to by the Constitution of this country, then you are a thief, in my opinion.
They're taking a seat from black people. They're breaking up a seat where the voters were predominantly black. And they're taking that away because they're black. It doesn't say that black people are guaranteed a seat. They're taking away the representation that they are guaranteed by the Constitution. And the only reason it's being taken away is because they are black. I think you ought to think about that for a minute, why you said that. I know you're going to double down. You don't want to admit this. It's a very hard thing to admit sometimes that you did something that might have been informed by white supremacy or racism. But as a fellow white, sometimes I say things that are racist too. Understand why they might be racist. Try and be better. It happens.
By the things that we see happening in our country today, because this is as true to America as it has always been. I was born in 1985. I'm 40 years old. A lot of times when we talk about this history, we like to go back to the 1960s, the 1800s. But when I was born in 1985, there were no black members of Congress from Louisiana. I was 6 years old when Bill...
Oh, you disagree it was redrawn for racial reasons? Why was it redrawn then? Maverick, what was the reasoning behind taking a majority black district and breaking it up into parts? We'll stop. We'll wait. What was the reason then? Or are you just like, I don't want to believe in that racism exists? Give us a better reason for why it was redrawn. Who said it? Who's the person that said why they redrew it? He didn't literally say that black people were entitled to a seat. If you're going to use the word literally, then use the literal words. He said, if you take a seat, the representation from black people guaranteed by the Constitution. Oh, I didn't realize my camera. Hold on the cord with my foot there. Sorry about that. Enjoy my ceiling fan. He said they get representation, that they're guaranteed by the Constitution. That's true. And if you take it just from black people, then it's stealing. Maverick, what was the reason that Maverick gave here? Because it was initially drawn to have a black American majority. Says who? Let's see if I can find like a picture of the map that's not a video. Tell me how you came to that conclusion. This one?
A new Supreme Court ruling is
Let's see what the Supreme Court even said here.
A new Supreme Court ruling is now paving the way for national gerrymandering. It's also forcing major changes to Louisiana's upcoming House primaries. Fox's Dana Marie McNichol has more.
After the Supreme Court struck down Louisiana's current district lines, the state is postponing its U.S. House primaries this month to...
Let's look at the map here.
The state's Republican leaders said they plan to pass new voting districts.
Okay. How is it? Explain to me why this is drawn for black people and not for white people. Explain it. And if this was drawn for black people and then you divide it up, then is it not now drawn for white people? Maverick? Here in the blue. These are the Democrat seats in the blue. Red is Republican. How could it be? How could it only be racist to draw lines for black representation, but undrawing those lines and giving black people less representation? How is that not racist? What we have here is a Supreme Court who is bought. It can't be racist one way and not the other way. It either is or it isn't racist. Undoing this then to then split up that vote is saying that's racist as well. That's the problem with this ruling in the Supreme Court. That's the problem with our country right now. I get that some of you guys want to go back to the 50s. I get that. Talk about the representation part. It's very important. Lived experience represent. I think you're saying lived experience representation when. Where did that go? When somebody is in Congress and putting in votes for their district. Yeah, I mean, if you just look at those, maps, like the way that they've redone the maps now, they're taking people who live in two very different ways, not because of the color of their skin, but because of where they live. They often live in two different realities. You don't mix representation for rural and metropolitan groups because then you don't get equal representation for the things that you need. And if you have a Republican representing a metropolitan group of people who have now lost their representation and they're now looped into a rural area, well, who's that representative going to represent? It's not going to be the minority of their voters. It's going to be the majority. It's going to be the Republicans in the rural areas who voted for them. So they'll do everything for rural voters. So even just outside of race, where people live, the most populated areas now are going to get less representation. It's dumb. On its face, it's just dumb. This was a little loophole that Republicans found, and they paid for this Supreme Court over years, and they found a legal argument that they could get this Supreme Court to agree with that wouldn't look completely and totally psychotic. And here we are. Now we're just rolling back voting rights. This is exactly what everybody was afraid of. This is exactly what people said about Republicans and Donald Trump. That they would strip away the rights of black people, that they would be consistently racist, that they would take away the rights from women, that they would treat immigrants horrifically, that they would give handouts to their friends and they would fuck over the poor. Everything we warned you guys about is actually happening. And then when it's actually happening in real time, you defend it. Before it happens, you say, no, that's not us. We would never be on board with that. I would never support that. And then when it happens, you just support it. What rights are being stripped? These people are being stripped of their representation. Women in many red states are being stripped of reproductive decisions. In some cases, they're stripped of their right to live. All right, keep going.
Jeffers was sworn into office. I was 7 years old when Cleo Fields was sworn into office. I was 9 years old when they took him out of office. I'm 40 today, and you're still taking things from black people. Anybody who has to cheat to win is a sucker. I'm going to say it again. Anybody who got to cheat to win is a sucker. And you continue to do this because you don't have a better vision. You don't have a better plan. You are your ancestors' children and grandchildren. Thieves, robbers, liars. Consistently. Because you'll go to church on Sunday, tell the Lord you love him. Pray, but you ain't praying out of the same Bible I'm praying out of. Can't be. Isaiah 1:17.
Are you directing this to us?
I am.
Okay. I'm asking that you don't directly. No. I'm asking that we don't be called names. I'm asking.
I didn't call you a name. What did I call you?
Liars.
Do you lie? All men lie. The Bible says that.
Mr. Chairman.
Senator Carter, briefly.
Mr. Chairman, this is public comment. The First Amendment allows freedom of speech and expression 100% without limitation. Mr. Chambers.
Yeah, fragile Republican white dudes like, don't call me names or I'm going to stop this. Freedom of speech, right? You called me a liar. I'm not going to sit here and take this. Oh, what a bitch. What a bitch. Take it. It's what happens. They're there for public comment. They can say whatever the fuck they want.
Put on the record your full comments, and if you see thievery, I want you to call it out. If you see something else, I want you to call it out. As your First Amendment protection is going to be protected in this building.
I'm not going to be called names. I'm not going to be called names.
Yeah, you are, bitch. Yeah, you fucking are, bitch. I don't take that kind of disrespect. Yeah, you're going to. You're going to sit there, and they're going to call you names, and you're going to toughen the fuck up.
And what we will do is stay on the four corners of these bills, the maps.
Louisiana is 33% black. 33% black. We deserve, we have earned, we are due 2 congressional seats. Now, if you take them from us, just know there will be a day in this state when we organize, strategize, and mobilize to take something from you.
It's coming.
And when you lose your House seat because you decided to be Jeff's boy,
come on.
When you lose your Senate seat because you decided to be Trump.
Jeff is the governor, just if you're wondering who Jeff is.
Minion, remember today. Remember the people that came from your state, that you looked in their faces, that you act like what they said didn't matter to you. Because something somebody said thousands of miles away, who don't really care about any of you on this committee, to be honest. Nobody in that conservative party in D.C. cares about any of you on this city committee other than the fact that you have the ability to take something away from black people. And if you were anything like what America should be, you'd find...
is this guy going to listen at any point? This is the kind of public servants we expect out of Republicans. Oh, I'm too thin-skinned to be lectured. I'm not going to listen. Just going to sort through your cards. Disrespect is wild here.
Some courage. I don't know where y'all get it from, but you find some courage. You could talk to some of your black colleagues. They could tell you where the well is. But if you find that courage, history will record you differently. Now, you may not care what history records you as. Bull Connor didn't when he was running either. Neither did George Wallace when he was the governor of Alabama. But 60 years later, nobody thinks George Wallace was a good white man. And nobody will think that you were good white men. They will think...
It's crazy. Low IQ voter, it's crazy how often you say something so low IQ. Like your username is very self-aware. I appreciate that about you.
That you all were puppets who played a role for a president and got nothing out of it but thievery.
Thank you for your testimony.
Maverick. So the logic is that just because 33% are black American means they should have equivalent representation is presuming they would all vote the same. No, it's not. It's presuming what we know. It's using the data that's available. It's showing how people in Louisiana vote. Again, like, I don't know why you go, like, again, you're going out of your way. Like, You don't care when Republicans do racist things. The only time you offer any pushback, Maverick, is when people are pointing out that something is blatantly racist. You haven't offered any refutation of the argument that if somehow it's racist to have these districts that are majority black be drawn this way, then it's not racist to undo that and break those up into pieces so that they are majority white districts. You're unable to answer that question. And this is just the MAGA brain. It's the conservative brain. I've been there. At some point in your life, you can either accept that racism exists, you can accept that there are racist people, and you can accept that racism doesn't mean, oh my God, there's a black person, let me punch them in the face. It can be it can be shit like this. It can be subtle. It can be stuff you don't even recognize yourself. But it starts with conservatives having a little bit of courage and a little bit of self-awareness, and stop just denying the things that are right in front of you. We get nowhere by you denying that like this is racist. We get absolutely nowhere. In fact, we get further apart. And why? Because your ego's in the way. Don't want to believe that there's racist people in Congress? That's crazy. The average age of Congress, they're like in their 60s. They all grew up racist. All of your parents grew up racist. Why would you think that it just went away? It exists. And it doesn't just exist from Republicans, for the record. It exists when Joe Biden says things like, if you don't vote for me, you ain't black. That's racist. We can own it. You should be able to own it. We live in a world that's or in a country that it's really great to be a white dude specifically. Nobody ever comes after you, and every time it's a marginalized group that's attacked, white conservative men are the first ones to show up and be like, actually, everything's fair. Nobody ever attacks as a group white conservative men, but other people's rights are consistently attacked. But actually, everything's fair as long as nothing happens to me. Dems' control over the media, education, unions, medical system is over. Cool. Yeah, isn't that interesting, Brian? That you're right. Republicans and Zionists started buying up the media. You guys are canceling all the education stuff. You're breaking up unions, and you're privatizing medicine more than ever. And all of a sudden we just started getting more racist, and shit got worse. Imagine that. You're right. You're right. You're breaking everything now. Media approval, it is at all-time lows, and now you've got control over it. We started this with a polling from Harry Enton saying that Donald Trump is the most unpopular president in history when it comes to healthcare. Yep, you're right. You took it over. You own it now. You own healthcare. You own the media. You own education. How are we doing in education? Slipping. Bad. Really fucking bad. I guess you guys own that too. Isn't that crazy how in 1 year you fucked it all up? As bad as it was. There were problems in all these areas. As bad as all these problems were, you fucked every one of them up. So I appreciate you bringing that up. My Lady Hernandez says, racists aren't just people wearing white hoods saying the N-word. Facts. Facts on facts on facts. They're developing amazing high-speed rail, and we're still debating whether or not poor kids deserve lunch at school. Talking about China, I think. Yeah. Thank you. Just a reminder, we are crowdfunded. I'll update that here in a minute, but we got about an hour and 15 minutes left. We could do a dollar train and knock that gift goal out quick, fast, and in a hurry. And if you're here all the time and you have the means to donate, that'd be greatly appreciated. We do rely on your generosity, and sometimes we're relying on some of the same people over and over again. So if you have the means to help us accomplish our daily gift goal, that would be greatly appreciated. Like I said, about an hour and about an hour and 15 minutes left. All right. I want to go here. I want to go to Melanie Stansbury because I just want to show once again one more example of the Trump administration going after marginalized groups in favor of big corporations. And one of the places that this administration has been horrific on and that doesn't get enough attention is their work with indigenous people and indigenous lands, indigenous education, healthcare. And what indigenous folks in this country are saying, and the tribes that work together, are saying, we can't get this administration's ear. They keep cutting funding, and they'll never talk to us. And so I appreciate Melanie Stansbury using all 5 minutes of her time to advocate for the people in her state, which there's a heavy indigenous population in New Mexico. And I think that this deserves some attention.
There are few agencies that have a greater impact for New Mexico than the Department of Interior in its management of tribal affairs, public lands, our waters, our natural resources. And, you know, as I was preparing for today's hearing, I was looking back at your confirmation and your bio. And one of the things I was really struck by is your personal story. You know, as I understand it from your statement, when you were sworn in, you were born and raised in a small town called Arthur, raised by a single mom, and you grew up working with your hands. And as somebody who myself grew up in a rural
Louisiana now using rushing to restore Confederate statues. Tell me again, it's not racism. Thank you. Yeah. How come it looks and it feels exactly like racism? Nomad Dal said, doing my part to support independent media. Thank you very much. Oh, Nomad Gal there for the $90 on Cash App. Appreciate it. W Nomad in the chat. Edward said, Dollar Train +1 in case someone can't do it. Thank you, Edward. Appreciate you. Won't close. Sunlit Angel says, for Antifa dudes, will you ever go back on TikTok? I don't know. As far as I can tell, I'm banned, and they're not going to allow me to use my backup accounts either. So I think I'm pretty flagged on TikTok, so I doubt it.
community in New Mexico with a single mom working with my hands. I understand exactly where you come from, and I appreciate that. But I do want to say that that is what makes this budget particularly perplexing for me, especially because during your confirmation, you made a commitment to both sides of the aisle that you would prioritize tribal trust and treaty responsibilities and consultation. And our tribal communities are not unlike the communities you and I grew up in. You know this. Now, I have to say, I know you just answered a question about this, but I used to work at OMB in the Interior Branch. I'm very familiar with these budget tables. I actually did BIA and BIE's budget. And though you just said that you're prioritizing tribal self-government, your budget cuts self-governance compacts by $83 million. Your budget makes
Thanks, Irene. Thanks, Sherry.
over $1 billion in cuts to core tribal programs to BIA and BIE. It makes over $744 million cuts to BIA alone. It cuts tribal colleges by $150 million. It reduces school construction in tribal communities by 85%. And when you compare that with the other cuts in the president's budget in HUD and other programs, it eviscerates tribal housing programs, law enforcement, sanitation, and water projects.
Notice there's always some white dude calling all of this stuff performative all the time. Anytime that a white person brings up that marginalized communities are being taken advantage of, there's always some dumb fuck that's like, performative. Yeah, we get it. We get it. You're a racist. Just say I'm a racist. Like, why does it bother you so much when marginalized people are advocated for? Maverick said, I know we disagree, but I appreciate the exchange of ideals. Yeah, I agree with that. Thank you, Maverick.
Irrigation projects, basic infrastructure.
All right, you're not white. You're just an idiot. I apologize. Sorry for calling you white. You're just dumb.
Roads, economic development, and it zeroes out basic education and cultural programs. And this is on top of the other budgets that are scattered all across the president's budget that eviscerate the core programs that support low-income communities like the ones we grew up in. On top of that, I'm sure you're aware, or I hope you're aware, that the Department of Interior is not doing well by tribes right now. It isn't. Tribes are not getting phone calls back from the Bureau of Indian Affairs. They cannot get appointments with you. You won't see tribes when they come to Washington, D.C. BIA regional offices.
I got Dean to agree that we live in a racist country. Thanks, Dean. I agree with that. Dean says, look, everyone's a racist, you idiot. Look around. Stop crying. We are looking around, and we're noticing a lot of racism, and we're trying to do our part individually to get rid of racism as much as we possibly can, including in my own personal life and in my own personal thoughts and my own personal feelings. It's a process that cannot be completed until there is no racism. Right? As long as we're participating in this country, and a country that consistently writes laws that have racist outcomes, then yeah, we're not cured. And so we should keep talking about it until we can eliminate it. And until it's eliminated, we should probably just not stop talking about it. But I know it makes you uncomfortable.
Are not approving contracts. Tribes have been unable to process basic paperwork to protect their tribal lands, to put land into trust, management of drought operations during the worst drought in recorded history. It's bad. This is the worst most tribes have seen it in their lifetime since the self-determination era began in the 1970s. And when I looked at your budget, I actually went back.
Noodle said, well, what do you call twin boobies? Identities. I love that one. Dolphin said, if not racist, why only go after black majority districts? Yeah, it is. It just is.
Back and did my homework. These are the largest single cuts in tribal.
I agree with that rabbit hole. Disparity does not equal discrimination. So what you do is you look at the disparity and then you determine what caused the disparity. What the problem is that would be called critical race theory, and you won't even let us get there. And that's why we say that Republicans are racist, because it's true. Outcomes aren't always determined by race. Sometimes they're not determinative, but they are affected. And the way that you figure that out is you study the effects of race on outcomes, which is called critical motherfucking race theory. But you guys banned that because you don't even want to start the conversation. You're afraid of even starting the conversation. So yeah, nobody gives a fuck anymore. Racism has no meaning. Yeah, it has no meaning to you because you don't look anything up. You don't know what it means, and because you don't know what it means, you're like, it doesn't have a meaning. It clearly has a meaning. You can look up the meaning of racism. You could study it, and you could have a better understanding. If I don't understand it, nobody does. That's the MAGA brain in a nutshell. So he said, sorry I haven't been around much this week. Been busy as hell at work. Hopefully this makes up for it. Love y'all. Thanks. W. Sully in the chat sent $100 over on Venmo. And Sully, I hope that may all your toilets be less clogged this week, or more clogged. Maybe that's more work for you. However you want the toilets to perform this week, Sully, I hope they perform in that way.
Funding since before the Reagan era.
As a white person, I should step down and give my live stream to an African American. It's only fair. That's not how any of this stuff works, but that's not how this works, right? Like if you want to deconstruct racism, you do that in your personal life. You do that in at work. You do that at home. You do that with your friends. You do it wherever you go. You try and help deconstruct it. You want the more voices, the better. What you don't want to do is be silent. I have a platform. It's my job to recognize these things and to do my best as a platform to make sure that voices are heard. And I don't always do that well. Like I've been criticized before. I've been insensitive before. I've said things that didn't take other people's reality into account, and I've been corrected on that. But again, like you're just you don't want to admit it, and so you do these extremes. We're like, oh, that's what we're saying, and that's why you don't want to understand racism, because that's what you're afraid of. You're afraid that if you admit that you're racist, that everything will be taken from you, and that's just not the case. I have found that the more I'm willing to be open about the way that I was raised, the insecurities I have in my own life, like the internalized racism that I was brought up with, the white privilege that I benefited from in some cases, I have found that the more honest I've been about that, the more opportunities present themselves to me, because that makes me able to walk in a lot of different rooms. It allows me to exist in a lot of different rooms, and it allows me to exist in places where I get to experience new ideas and new cultures. You don't. If you just say like racism doesn't exist, I'm good how I am, like cool, but that's not how I would like to live my life. You can ignore it all you want, and that's why you're a Republican. We don't want to ever change anything. Just keep things the same. Put on your American flag T-shirt, back-to-back World War champs, and pretend like you did something.
I don't know how you defend that. I also don't know how you can say that you consulted with tribes when your Department of Interior is seeking to open up one of the most sacred tribal landscapes in the state of New Mexico right now without any tribal
Say, Chrissy says you teach me so much. Thank you. I appreciate that.
consultation, which is Chaco Canyon, which is right behind me.
Which
now,
is
in
beautiful.
addition to that, I have to say, now I understand how these budgets get made. I know that the White House puts their fingerprint on things, but I don't know how you can sit there and defend $1 billion for a ballroom at the White House, $15 million for a tribal arch, for an arch right in front of Arlington Cemetery, which veterans are actually opposed to, and a $10 billion slush fund for beautification projects in Washington, D.C., when we don't even have teachers in tribal schools right now. When you're seeking to zero...
Bambi, don't say colored people. That's crazy. White people should not speak on behalf of black people. That's true. You can speak in support, though. Like advocating that marginalized groups not be treated differently is not speaking on behalf of them. It's speaking in support. I think everybody should have the same rights. Like, raise your hand just if you think everybody should have the same rights. Raise your hand if you think everybody in this country should be treated the same way, regardless of their race, their gender, their sexuality. I think that's going to be most of you. Honestly, I don't even think like the Republicans would sit here and say like they don't believe that. I think that that's most people's actual belief. The difference seems to be how willing you are to recognize if people are being treated differently. That seems to be the difference. Like for me, if I fall in love and I get married, I'm not going to get any shit about that from anybody. There will be no obstacles for me. If I am a trans woman and I get married to a man and we adopt a child, let's say let's make it equal. I get married as a straight man to a woman and we adopt a child. Nobody's going to give me shit. But a trans woman marrying a man and adopting a child, that will be nearly impossible to have the exact same rights that I have or the exact same opportunities I have. And why are they going to be denied those opportunities? Because some people think trans people are icky. Some people also think that they would call that a gay marriage because, again, they don't believe trans people exist. And there would be all these hurdles for those people to adopt a kid. So if you think everybody should be treated the same way, then even stuff that you don't understand or things that are foreign to you or belief systems that are foreign to you or life experiences that are foreign to you, those people need to have the same opportunities as you have to exist in society without having to overcome hurdles. And if you don't support that, then that's probably why you're conservative. And that's what privilege is. And if you're a white, straight person in this country, you have that privilege. You have that privilege that you're going to be able to get married to the person that you love. You can have children. You can adopt children. And nobody's going to give you a bit of shit for that. But if you're not a straight white person, you might be, maybe a white person marries a black person. I can tell you where I lived in Utah, like that was tricky for a lot of people. I have a good friend who's like a Mormon content. Well, his spouse is a Mormon content creator. And I don't remember. I know she was a foreign exchange student. I don't remember what country she's from, but she's black. And I talked to him recently because somebody sent me a reel of him. I didn't realize that she was doing content creation. And I just asked him about his experience living in Utah. And he's like, it's crazy, man. Like, it's crazy the amount of racism that we get. The amount of times I'm like, he doesn't even have social media. It's just like his wife. And the amount of people that will DM like, your husband's a race traitor. But that would never happen to me, right? Like, I was married to a white woman, which I was. Nobody ever gave me any shit about being married to a white woman, ever. There are no hurdles there. My daughter I got a white daughter. No hurdles. I had to teach my daughter early on. Like, I live in a very white area. And we'd go out, we'd go shopping or something. And she would see, I know one time in Target, there was a little girl who had braids in and she was black, and my daughter just kept staring and like was talking like about her hair, and I just had to explain that like, hey, it's okay to look, it's okay to appreciate somebody's beauty, but like sometimes people feel like they're being stared at all the time because they look different than everybody else. So it's important to make them feel comfortable, right? Like you can look, you can say you like their hair or whatever, but if you sit there and you stare, that makes people uncomfortable. That's not something that's going to happen to my daughter. Nobody's going to go be like, can I touch your hair? That is a reality she doesn't have to live in. So that kind of stuff, like these type of microaggressions, those are reality. And being aware of that just makes our communities better. But for some reason, conservatives are terrified of that. They're so afraid. And I think that like when I was a conservative, if I can look back on that, what I was afraid of is that like things wouldn't be funny anymore, that I couldn't make jokes anymore. What I've realized is you can still make jokes. In fact, you can still make horrific jokes around the right people. My friends and I, like when we joke with each other, there is literally nothing off limits. But if there's somebody in our group that's not normally in our group, guess what? It's a lot of things become off limits. Why? Because we know how we feel about each other and we know what things are and are not jokes. So it's really like you just have to realize that you can't live in a bubble. And I think that's what most conservatives fear is that the bubble that they currently live in, that they might be exposed and have to get outside of that bubble, and they might have to change the way that they speak, or they might have to worry about somebody else's feelings, and that scares the fucking shit out of them. Why vote in cis white liberals into power still? Sometimes that's your best option. Sometimes your best option is a cis white liberal. You don't have that much control over who you vote for. But I don't even think that's what everybody's looking for. And again, I think that speaks to your fear. Like, I've never met with anybody who, I've dealt with enough content creators, and some of them like their content is geared towards marginalized groups, usually a group that they represent. I've never heard anybody from any marginalized group be like, what we need is to make sure that nobody else ever gets to be represented or a representative. That we have to get rid of all white people. Doesn't matter. Like if we all just learned these things, if we all could coexist, if we all recognize that people's life experience is their life experience and that they shouldn't have less rights because of their life experience, then we wouldn't have to keep having these conversations about representation. I did not actually admit that I still make racist jokes. I said I make awful jokes. Like my family jokes a lot about death, and there's a lot of death in my family, and some of you have seen me joke about it with Jen. Like, there's been death, and Jen likes dark humor. But if somebody else told me that they lost their husband and I didn't know them like I know Jen, I'm definitely not going to make the same jokes I make with Jen. That's what I was saying. Just understanding the group that you're in. All right, let's keep going.
Zero out tribal housing money. People are going to be homeless because of your budget if it passes. And you're defending this? That's not okay. That is not okay, and you know it because you and I grew up in the same kind of place, and we weren't raised to do this. So, Mr. Secretary, there isn't time for me to ask you any questions, but what I hope that I can appeal to you is to do right by tribes and to know that who you actually serve, while you may serve at the pleasure of this guy, the people you actually serve are the people who hold this place to be the most sacred place on planet Earth. And I hope you'll do right by our tribes.
That's even fair, too. Sadly, many libs are low-key racist, so cis white libs have the best chance of winning in many districts. We've all seen that. Libs are not are immune to being racist. It's not like a one side or the other thing. Dolphin said, as someone with a disability, a physical disability, I hate it when people stared at my leg. I'd rather them ask. Yeah. What did we miss here? Danielle said, today marks 4 years of the Buffalo Tops tragedy. RIP to all those we lost that day. Fuck racism. Jamar says, racism doesn't require hate. People just need to read. It does require reading, though, to understand it. Julie said, thanks for all you do. Suzanne knocked out the gift goal. Suzanne in the chat for the $150 over on Venmo. Said, keep doing what you're doing. Appreciate you guys for many years. Love German mom. Thank you. I think I read that. Chris, I still need to look up flywheel storage. We got about an hour left. All right. Okay. Let's get to Scott Turner. I guess we're leaving there. Do we need to cover any more of that? Let me read through the chat real quick. See if there's anything to add there. Dean, you say that's why people are leaving California in the thousands because of what? Because people are aware of other people's plight, for sure. Yeah, racist. It would be a problem if you're racist in California. It'd be a tough place to be. How can you be racist and liberal? I don't even support Trump, but I get called MAGA. I mean, I don't consider myself a liberal. I consider myself progressive. I think that anti-racism is a very it's a progressive principle. I don't know that liberals make anti-racism necessarily one of their principles, but it's the same thing. Like, you can call yourself whatever the fuck you want. It doesn't mean that you're not something. Like, we did this all day with Nick Shirley, and we had to argue whether or not Cuba was communist, which they're obviously not, but they call themselves communist, right? So you can label yourself whatever you want, but there's progressives that are racist. There's people that hide behind their political beliefs all the time. The same criticism I would have of Christians who hide behind their Christianity and then treat people poorly would be the same I said about progressives who hide behind their progressive ideas and then in person or behind closed doors, they're dog shit. Like, I don't think you should ever take somebody for their label that they give themselves. Like, oh, you're a progressive, so I therefore trust you. Or you're a conservative, so I therefore trust you. And it exists across the board. All right, let me get to, this is Scott Turner. He's the I don't know if I can't remember if he was confirmed or if he is acting in an acting role, but this is Scott Turner, who is head of housing and urban development. And I just want you to know that I wasn't sure what housing and urban development was doing because they haven't made many announcements. And now I'm certain that they have been doing absolutely nothing.
And what I will say, and I offer this, is number one, the point in time report in the Biden administration, HUD, said that we had 770,000 people in America that were homeless at one given time. And this is with record funding. So we have record funding, but yet we have an increase in
right. So
street
what
homelessness.
is your record?
Yes,
You've
ma'am.
had this job for well over a year. I just want to know, did you get the number down? Do we have 700,000 homeless still? Or is it 1 million or 1.5 million? So I get you want to do things differently.
Indeed.
And this committee will support you as long as the goals are good.
Okay,
but
good.
where's the results?
All right, that's pretty clear. We'll support you. Give us your ideas. Tell us your results. I get that you didn't like the Biden administration. Please tell us your plan. Tell us your results. We want to help you.
The report is delayed over a year. Over a year.
Can I
So we have
offer this to you?
Yes, but we
Can I
have no.
offer this
I
to
just
you?
don't want to hear about what you don't like about the Biden administration.
good.
You're in charge.
Yeah.
You have a vision. Let's see it. Let's see
Good.
the results.
And you know what I do? I thank God that I'm in charge so we can do stuff different. Because the plays that were ran before I got here, they failed. I've been here. Let me speak, if you will. I got here.
This is their whole thing. The whole thing is just Biden bad. I don't want to hear about Biden. Okay, let me explain it. I'm glad I'm here because the people before, I won't say Biden, I'll just say the people before.
You said I have been here a little bit over a year. But you all had, during the Biden administration, 4 years.
Stop
And it was
talking about
record
Biden.
funding.
Talk about
It's
your
record
record.
funding.
This
and
is so.
homelessness
This is
went
so.
up.
This
If
is
I may,
so inaccurate,
Ranking Member Gillibrand. unhelpful,
and doesn't let this committee do our
Madam
job.
Chair, if I may, the point in time report would be
What a Bidenism. Yeah.
be out by now if we did not have an unprecedented government shutdown. It would be out by now. If we weren't in constant litigation, it would be out by now. HUD has a great form. We have a great team, and we move very expeditiously.
In what way
But
does
during the-
litigation?
Your report is a year late. You have a great team. You move expeditiously. The government shutdowns, I think, have taken up maybe 100 days total. You can work during the government shutdown if you want. You can't give us a report.
We could not.
By the way, that's what they're asking for, a fucking report. They want to know what HUD is doing. They're a year late delivering a report to explain what they're doing with money that Congress approves. And they're back asking for more money, and they still haven't given any account of what they've been doing. And when she asks, he says, Biden administration bad.
Okay,
Work during
Mr.
the government
Secretary,
shutdown.
I think you're obfuscating.
Mute rabbit hole the rest of the live.
What way
I'm just
does
stating the facts.
litigation
I'm
slow
stating the
down
facts.
your report?
A government shutdown helps us to not be able to work. It was a
Oh, I
government
get
shutdown.
that. But tell me about the litigation.
The point in time report would be out right now if we did not have a government shutdown. Irregardless of all of that, during the Biden administration,
You can be a year late if there are 100 of those days the government was shut down. Right? That's what he's saying. I've never seen a group of people so obsessed with anybody else. Like their obsession with Joe Biden, and this is what happens when you hire sycophants who don't know what the fuck they're doing. They're not doing anything. The government's legitimately not working. They're not doing anything. They're just there collecting paychecks and blaming Joe Biden for them not working.
record funding.
Oh my God. If you talk about, it's like
record funding.
It's like
record
two children saying,
homelessness.
I didn't do it, my brother did it.
That's what I
Stop
have
with
to
the
go off of.
excuses.
That's
Just
what I have to go off of.
explain
record funding,
your record.
Record homelessness. We have to do something different.
Okay, switch topic.
If after I'm gone,
Switch topic.
if
Honestly,
after I'm gone, if it's still record
I don't
funding
want
and record
You know what?
homelessness,
After
then
you're
you'll be able
gone
to the
is
same
too
thing.
late for
But
the
it is-
families that are suffering in New York
It is
today.
it's gonna
Do you
get
know what
better.
it's like
It's
to
gonna
be a
get better.
homeless little girl who has to have a Girl Scout troop just for other homeless little girls because that's all they have?
Yes,
That's the
ma'am.
only consistency they have in their life. So I get
I
you
do
have
understand.
a different vision.
It's happened in my family. Yes, ma'am, I do
I
understand.
need to know
I'm not
if your
talking to you
stuff
about
is
what
working.
I've heard. I'm talking to you about what I know. And what I do know, the housing first model failed.
Mute T-Reds for like 5 minutes just for this is like the 80th time you've used performative. Knock it off. You have to give real criticism now. All right. Now let's same guy, Scott Turner. Patty Murray's going to give him a shot. And I'm tired of showing AIPAC Patty Murray, but she's doing a good job in these hearings.
With all due respect, the president is clear on what he wants to do. My job is to run HUD and to take down.
No, T-Rates, I don't like it. I don't like you using your same joke over and over again. That's why you're going to get a 5-minute mute.
With all due respect, the president is clear on what he wants to do. My job is to run HUD and to take down the regulatory environment, which I hear from the industry experts as I travel. The regulations and the regulatory environment are crippling building in our country.
You have a different view than I do, and I just want you to know that if we use that money for housing, we could build 1.1 million affordable housing units. That is a huge dent in the 7 million units of housing that you yourself say that our country needs. But your budget actually cuts housing, so let me ask it a different way. Can you help more families with housing with $84 billion or with $73.5 billion?
Here's what I'll say. Here's what I say.
You want to guess what he says? This is an easy question. Could you help more people with 84 billion or 73.5 billion? What's his answer going to be? Yeah.
In the previous years before we got here, housing affordability
Okay,
was
this
not
is
at an all-time
the go-to
high.
answer
Mortgage
for
rate,
every
it's not a
secretary is
go-to.
go back to
As a
Biden.
secretary,
And
I'm just
asking
giving you the
about
facts.
your
Mortgage rates were up,
administration, sir.
interest rates were up, inflation was up, regulatory environment.
You guys proud of this? Proud of this? Not one of the people that you bring before Congress can answer a fucking question. You proud of this?
It was crippling. It doesn't matter the administration. These are the facts, ma'am. And so I'm dealing with these facts now to bring mortgage rates down, interest rates down, and build affordable
I'm asking
housing.
you about what you could do
Yes, ma'am.
with this housing and how we address the number one issue facing many of my constituents and many people in the country. And the answer is you could do a lot more work and help families with housing with funding that went to housing and not $1.5 trillion for a war. Thank you very much.
All right. Now I want to get over to Representative Jayapal meeting with...
Gentleman from Missouri, I now recognize the gentleman.
It's Amanda Tyler. She's the executive director of the Baptist Joint Committee for Religious Liberty. And she is here at this hearing that I swear to God is a real fucking hearing. This is what our members of Congress have decided to do. This is the Judiciary Committee hearing on why political Islam and Sharia law are incompatible with the Constitution. I swear to God, this is a real thing that we are paying our members of Congress to talk about. It's a real hearing. So Senator Jayapal had the opportunity then to question, what did I say her name was? Amanda something or other? Amanda Tyler, the executive director of the Baptist Joint Committee for Religious Liberty. And it's about as weird and pathetic as you think it is. It's just a reminder to you Republicans, they don't do anything for you. They just play the identity politics. They keep you scared about the things that you're scared about, and they don't pass any laws, and they don't help you save money at the gas pump. They don't help you save money in your homes. They're cutting your health care. Prices are being driven up. They're doing absolutely nothing for you, and you'll still cheer them on because you're like, oh, they also hate Islam. Terrific.
The lady from Washington.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I have a lot of respect for the chairman of this committee. We work together on a lot of issues, but it is bizarre to me to listen to this hearing. Honestly, now we've suddenly made all mosques the beachhead of terrorism across the country. This is a very important religion.
Don said, how do you spot a blind man on a nude beach? It ain't hard. I'm sorry.
Around the world, and certainly here in the United States, Islam is a very, very important religion. And I go to Mr. Cohen's comments about why we're holding this hearing again. This is a redo.
You can mute. You guys can mods mute Dean whenever you want to.
By the way, we've done this before. We're doing it again at a time when we have so many pressing issues that we should be addressing.
You can mute low IQ voter too.
In the Constitution Subcommittee. We have the issue of voting rights, the gutting of voting rights by the Supreme Court, the dilution of the black vote in the United States, which should be at the top of our list to talk about. We have the unconstitutional war in Iran that has now cost at least $29 billion of taxpayer money that we have not had a single hearing on. There's lots.
But let's have a hearing on Islam and Sharia law being incompatible with the Constitution. Cool.
Of things that we could be talking about. But see, the problem is, if we were to talk about any of those things, you would actually have to acknowledge how incredibly unpopular Republican policies have been in driving up the price of gas in this country. In my home state, it's almost $6 for a gallon of regular, almost $7 for a gallon of diesel. You'd have to address the rising cost of fertilizer, of groceries, the fact that Republicans stripped health care away from millions of Americans. People cannot afford health care in the United States of America, the richest country in the world. We have 90 million Americans who are either uninsured, no insurance at all, or underinsured, meaning they have some form of insurance, but it's not enough to pay their medical bills. And that is why we have $220 billion of medical debt in the United States of America. $220 billion. But we're not talking about any of the policies, the unconstitutionality of all of the
These same Republicans are the ones that won't meet with the survivors of Jeffrey Epstein, that are just ignoring that. But they think it's really important that you guys be worried about Sharia law.
Things that this administration has done that have really ripped apart the foundations of who we are as a country. Instead, we're going to have a conversation about this, Sharia law. And, you know, I've seen in my home state of Washington, but across the country.
Yes, Papas. Don't even. Looks like Sharia law balanced a budget in New York City. That's terrible.
The rise in anti-Muslim bigotry that has been happening in the aftermath of October 7th attacks and then in the aftermath of 9/11. And in my home state of Washington, now Muslim Americans reporting experiencing hate crimes, threats of violence, hateful rhetoric that increases those threats of violence, discriminatory policies in the workplace, unsafe interactions with law enforcement. And this hearing is unfortunately just part of a much larger anti-Muslim, anti-Islam strategy that Republicans have been trying to drive. So, Ms. Tyler, I want to start by correcting the record. Has there ever been a piece of legislation introduced in America to adopt Sharia law?
No.
Does Sharia law require...
No, never. Not once. 0 fucking times. We are holding a hearing about something that has never even been proposed. Cool.
Muslims living in the United States to violate American law?
No.
And are there any state or federal courts that follow Sharia law instead of American law?
No.
Have you seen any poll in this country, to your knowledge, that puts Sharia law at the top of the concerns of Americans today?
No, I have not.
Me neither. Me neither. Nowhere does it show up as a top concern. So yet the policies that are being proposed include the establishment of a Sharia-free America caucus and the introduction of a bill that would deny immigration status to anyone who, quote, adheres to Sharia law. Now,
Jay Knowledge, I just want to see if you're consistent then. Does that include Christians? Does that include, when you say doesn't matter what religion it is, anytime a large group of people move in to push their agenda or ideology, it's a bad thing? Do you hold that standard for this current administration, like where they're obviously pushing Christianity, just out of curiosity?
these policies are based on a myth that Sharia is infiltrating our American legal system and endangering the way of life as envisioned by our founding fathers. So could you please clarify?
Top concerns are healthcare fraud? No, nowhere near. If you do polling, nobody's top concern is healthcare fraud. That's just dumbass Trump supporters who don't actually care about healthcare fraud. If they did, they'd stop voting for Trump, and Rick Scott wouldn't be around. But yeah, mostly nobody cares about that.
For everyone watching this.
Yes, any? Okay, I appreciate you being consistent on that. Thanks, Jay Knowledge.
Hearing. What is Sharia law, and is it any different than what biblical law teaches Christians about how to observe their faith?
So Sharia is translated or understood to mean the path to water, and it refers to the religious principles that guide Muslims in their beliefs and actions. So it's a set of rules on how to pray and dress and fast and other dietary restrictions. And in that way, it's very similar to other kinds of religious laws that Christians or Jews or members of other faiths.
Every time your mouth opens, it sounds like diarrhea. I've never said this ever in my life, but Ralph, I hope one day I get to hear you diarrhea. That's going to be crazy. It just comes out as words. It just comes out like a progressive YouTuber. It just comes out like Free Palestine. That's crazy.
Communities follow to guide them in how they practice their religion.
In many religions, there are extreme and violent sects that don't represent the vast majority of observance of the faith. You've done some work documenting the rise of extreme white Christian.
I agree. Ace Press, you say that it's a huge problem. Yes, medical fraud is a huge problem. I agree with that. I said it's not when people are polled, it's not something that consistently comes anywhere near to the top of polling because it doesn't affect you that much. But did you know that the person who committed the largest Medicare fraud in history up until a couple of years ago was Rick Scott? His company, it was $1.5 billion worth of Medicare fraud, just one company. Did you know that? And then Republicans elected him to Congress. Did you know that Trump has pardoned 2 people who were convicted of Medicare fraud? My point was you don't actually care about that. You just want to use it as a weapon to bash over liberals' heads. You don't actually care about it. If you did, it would bother you that Trump's pardoning people who commit Medicare fraud, and it would bother you that Rick Scott exists, but you don't care about that. You probably didn't know any of that.
Nationalism and its influence in deadly shootings in Charleston, Pittsburgh, and San Diego. But I don't see any of my colleagues on the other side creating a caucus to attack Christianity or introducing a bill that would ban Christians from entering the country. Instead, they want the 10 Commandments to be posted in every public school. And we have Trump administration officials like Secretary Hickseth.
Yeah, he should be in jail, but instead they just gave him a little slap on the wrist and a fine. Meanwhile, the people who committed Medicare fraud in Minnesota, the non-billionaire CEOs, they all went to jail, but not Rick Scott. It's all good when it's Rick Scott. He went to Congress. Wasn't me said we aren't an incredibly rich country. We are an incredibly poor country with some incredibly rich people that happen to live here. True.
Openly declaring that, quote, America was founded as a Christian nation and remains a Christian nation in our DNA. What does that tell us about what's really going on?
Well, I see all of these actions that we're talking about today as singling out one religion for special scrutiny and to denigrate a lot of the stereotypes that have been repeated here today, to take the actions of a few and extrapolate that that's what somehow all Muslims believe. When we would never, as Christians, say that, for instance, like the killer at Mother Emanuel AME Church, who claimed that he was there because of his religious beliefs, we wouldn't say that that extrapolates to all Christians. And so it is a double standard and a very harmful one that causes violence and discrimination against our Muslim neighbors.
And undermines.
Well done. Well done. Cool stuff our government's doing. Hearings on Sharia law, which takes us to Iran. I wanted to show this. Was on C-SPAN this morning. Representative Tim Moore was on with, I don't know who this, I don't remember the C-SPAN person, but asked about the current consumer price index, or basically inflation. Prices rose 3.8% in April year over year. And how long are Americans going to be cool with this? I would ask you guys, you Republicans, how long are you cool with this? If it's 6 months, are you still hanging on? If prices are still going up 6 months from now, are you still like, yeah, I'm all in? Do you have a point where you're like, all right, maybe this isn't working?
It's consumer prices rose 3.8% in April year over year. So as you're saying, it's all Americans who are bearing the brunt of the war in Iran. How long do you think the American public will be able to sustain this level of inflation and gas prices, et cetera?
Well, now, in all fairness, it's not just Americans who are bearing this, who are bearing what's happening with fuel prices. Europe, which is actually dependent upon receiving the fuel.
Yeah, we're fucking up every country. It's not just our country we're fucking up. We're fucking them all up. We're fucking up the entire world's economy for no goddamn reason. That's what Republicans have now. Hey guys, I know that you're paying more, but does it help to know that Europeans are also paying more money? Will that make you feel better?
Fuel and the oil from the Middle East is probably bearing it even more in some ways. Asia is dealing with it. But what's happening is in the United States, of course, we really don't get that much, but because of the commodity prices and all of that, it's caused all the prices to get jacked up here. Look, let me tell you what else. Let me tell you the other point we need to do. We need to have even more energy production here in the United States. We need to have more refining capacity.
We need renewable energy is the answer. It's renewable. It's solar and wind. We need to heavily invest in solar and wind, and the cheapest form of energy we possibly can get. This guy's owned by the oil. Like Tim Moore. Like, want to bet? Want to bet that he gets oil money? Let's see. Tim Moore open secrets. Let's see who's funding old Tim Moore. Oops, I'll go to the summary. PACs. They have it by sector: financial, ideological, agribusiness. Tell me he's not getting oil money and he's still in. Is that agribusiness? What do they count oil in? That's crazy. Does he really? Maybe transportation? No. Energy. Oh, there we go. Energy, natural resources. There we go. Not even that much. 12,500. Not even that much. Still just out there taking on water for the oil companies.
We need to have more pipelines, right? We have an amazing...
That's a good point. Wind turbines cause cancer, so everyone does need to drink Diet Coke to kill it. That's a good point. If you don't like Diet Coke, you're going to hate our wind policies.
Reservoir of fuel. We also finally, thanks to action of the president, have Venezuela at a point where we're able to get oil from Venezuela as well, which is a huge resource.
We were always able to get oil from Venezuela. We chose not to. We chose not to buy it, and now we choose to buy it. We could have always gotten oil. It wasn't. They didn't say we won't sell you oil. We were like, we're not going to buy oil from you anymore. This is. God, your whole fucking party is so goddamn pathetic. I mean this legitimately. Politicians lie, they spin. There has never been a dumber bunch of dumb fucks than the current Republican Party. There has never been people so far removed from reality. This is pathetic. This is honestly pathetic. A caller calls in and says, how long do you think the American public can sustain this level of inflation and gas prices? And he's like, don't worry about it. Europe's paying more, and now we can buy oil from Venezuela, which we always could. We didn't need to kidnap their leader to do that. We could have just bought oil from Venezuela. We're just not doing it. This is the dumbest fucking administration. And if you are still supporting them, I mean this respectfully, because I know some of you have had good dialogue with me today, and I appreciate that. Respectfully, you got to be dumb as fuck. You have to be dumb as fuck to still be a Trumper. You just have to be. There's no excuse for supporting it at this point. Fine if you're racist, fine if you're sexist, misogynist, like all those things that we thought you were, and that wasn't going to be a deal breaker. Fine, like we already knew that. But now at this point, it doesn't even make any fucking sense. Now you have to ignore math. You have to ignore what words mean. You have to ignore treaties. You have to literally ignore reality to be supportive of Donald Trump at this point. And these guys, no problem. Tim Moore has no problem going out on TV and like, I'm going to make myself look like an absolute dipshit today.
Right, we have an amazing reservoir of fuel. We also finally, thanks to action of the president, have Venezuela at a point where we're able to get oil from Venezuela as well, which is a huge resource right here in our own hemisphere, right? But we need to have the apparatus, the infrastructure to process and distribute that. That's where, frankly, there's been a problem for years and years.
Yeah, well, good thing we went to war before we had that infrastructure then. Good move. I know he's talking about me. It's okay. Yeah, I am. Maverick, if you're still supportive of Trump, like, you're not that dumb. You can spell. I've seen you spell. You can spell. If you can spell words correctly, you shouldn't be a Trump supporter anymore. It's that black and white. All right. Let's go to here. This was J.D. Vance. Essentially asked the same question, like, what's our plan here? And J.D. Vance does. First of all, J.D. Vance is looking rough. His hair is thinning, graying out in the beard. This has been a stressful time for J.D. Sorry, bud.
Thank you, Mr. Vice President. My question is, what's your message to Americans as the Iran war continues to impact the economy, especially after yesterday's inflation report?
Well, I guess my message to Americans is we know that we have a lot of work to do in order to deliver on the prosperity that the American people deserve. The president is hyper aware of this. I'm hyper aware of this. We talk about it all the time. We know that the American people inherited a very bad inflation crisis. Yes, the inflation number last month was not great, but take it back to the May of 2023 in the Biden administration.
His mascara is graying as well.
Get back to even further, we're not seeing anything like what we saw under the Biden administration, and that's a problem in and of itself. Because
it's just Biden. Do they have any answers for you? He's got to go back to like 2023. They're that bad at their job that we're more than a year in and they still are blaming Joe Biden.
What it means is that a lot of Americans saw their wages eaten away under the Biden administration.
GLP has caused hair loss. I've heard that. Yeah, I have heard that.
They saw the values of their paycheck eaten away during the Biden administration. And one of the things we were elected to do, of course, was to fix that problem. And I promise you the president is laser focused every day on fixing it.
Oh, you haven't figured out how to fix it yet. Got it. They were still just waiting for a plan. Neely, the vampire slayer, said the dipshittery of the current Republican Party is mind-blowing.
That problem. Now, what I will also say is that whether it's the working families tax cuts, putting more money in the pockets of the American people, whether it's bringing a lot of investment into the United States so that we can build the factories and the jobs of the future, the president's laser focused. This stuff does take time. In the same way that the Biden
laser focused, guys. He's so fucking laser focused that we can't even tell you what the plan is, but he's laser focused. Swish said dogs can't operate MRI machines, but cats can. Lovely. I loved that one, Swish.
Administration's inflation crisis ate away at workers' paychecks for 4 years. It's going to take us a little bit of time before we get workers in a position.
Inflation's gone up. It was a 2.9 when you took office. Just had 3.8. It's gone up. If you say it's going to take time to bring it down, why is it going up? It's going up.
Where
Peter said, fuck conservatives. That's kind of funny. Proud Papa said, what's crazy is Biden's brain literally melted and had dementia, and he was 10 times better than Trump.
We feel like we can look them in the eye and say,
it was 2.7. Sorry, it was 2.7. Thank you, Hot Chisel. Or Nunya.
Much better off, but that's what we're trying to do. We're going to keep on working at it. I think we made a lot of progress. If you look at the average household wage increase since Donald Trump became president, it's gone up. But
yep. It also went up during the Biden administration, and inflation is outpacing it. So technically it's going down. If you look at it in a vacuum, it's going up. But if you look at it in whole, it's actually going down. Dolphin said, according to 2 recent reports, more than half of the individual pardons this term have been for white-collar crimes. Money laundering, bank fraud, wire fraud. MAGA doesn't care about fraud, or they'd criticize Trump.
We came from a pretty deep hole. We're digging meaning a pretty deep hole, the Biden administration. We're digging ourselves out of it. And what I want is for us to completely dig out of that hole and then to build a brighter and better and more prosperous future for the American people. That's what they elected us to do, and that's very much what we're focused on.
He didn't say anything. There's no plan. MAGA, Maverick, I hate to tell you this, bud. They have no fucking plan. They're just riding it out. They're just hoping that they can just keep skating by. They have no plan whatsoever. They're obviously not digging us out of this hole. It's obviously worse. All right. I wanted to, some of the stuff we didn't get to, a little bit outdated. One of the things that I thought was going to happen when Trump went to, if I can do this, to China, is that they would talk about Jimmy Lai. I don't know if they have. As far as I know, they hadn't. But Jimmy Lai is, I believe at some point, I think he was a reporter, he's some member of the media, and he's been a very outspoken critic of the treatment of the Taiwanese people by the CCP. And he's been thrown in jail. And his daughter has been petitioning the White House over and over to see if they can negotiate to get Jimmy Lai taken or released from jail. And this was Trump talking about that. And the reason I'm showing you this is not that the Jimmy Lai thing's that important, but because Donald Trump is laser focused on one thing, his obsession with James Comey.
This morning, she's the daughter of Jimmy Lai, and she told me that she's been praying and hoping that you'll be the one that brings her dad home. She says of any administration, she thinks you're the one that could do it.
You said Jimmy Lai.
Jimmy Lai's daughter.
And there's another gentleman, a minister, a pastor, as you know. I'll bring them both up. I brought it up before. Jimmy Lai, I brought it up. The other one I just heard about this morning, actually. And I do bring that up. You know, we've gotten, I don't know if you've been reading, John Cole, who's a great lawyer. He was a tobacco lawyer. Great guy. I won't say he's an older guy because he may be offended by that, but he is. He's a little older, and he's a wise man, actually. Made a fortune.
Marlene, are you calling Trump a armchair international politics expert? Is that who you're talking?
With the tobacco, he did the first tobacco lawsuit, and he's a great man. And he's brought back hundreds of people out of various Belarus. You know, you read about that. We had, and the leader has been fantastic. But
again, he was asked about Jimmy Lai, but this is a totally sane thing that he's saying right now. He's just not answering. He forgot the question.
He has to ask him. Biden never asked. We asked. And we're getting hundreds of people out of confinement and prisons.
I agree with you, Cliff. Democrats should run a good candidate, but they don't. I agree. Democrats should run a good candidate, and they generally don't. See?
That shouldn't be there. And hundreds, and many of them aren't even citizens of the United States. They're people that have been captured in some form, ministers, people that are really innocent people, and they're being held captive. And I bring up,
this is a Wendy's.
Jimmy Lai. Now, Jimmy Lai, he caused a lot of bedlam. I don't know. It's like saying to me, if Comey ever...
You feel like we're in a lame duck session right now? Maverick, a lame duck session is when one party doesn't have full control. And Congress is controlled by one side and the presidency by the other. The Republicans have full control. I think what you mean is lame fuck. We're in a lame fuck cycle because Congress and the Republicans in Congress are a bunch of lame fucks, and Donald Trump is also a lame fuck. I'm guessing that's what you meant.
Went to jail. Would you let him out? It might be a hard one for me. Does that make sense? It might be a hard one for me, because he's a dirty cop. But Jimmy Lai isn't that way. But Jimmy Lai...
How the fuck did Comey get in this conversation? He's obsessed with Comey. This guy's lost his fucking mind.
Lots of turmoil for China. He tried to do the right thing. He wasn't successful. Went to jail, and people would like him out, and I'd like to see him get out too. So I'll bring him up again. I have brought him up. There's another gentleman, a pastor, as you know.
Yeah, you already did that one, bud. We don't need to go back to this. Then he went and he did the pastor again. He forgot that he already did that one. This is a crazy story out of Arcadia, California. This is California Mayor Eileen Wang has agreed with prosecutors that she worked with the People's Republic of China to boost propaganda with a fake news website on U.S. soil between 2020 and 2022. She was then elected to the city council in Arcadia, a city in San Gabriel Valley in LA County. They have like a rotating like mayor. So like you run for city council and then it rotates who the mayor is. Wang worked with her then fiance Yaning Mike's son on a website called U.S. News Center, which claimed to be a news source for Chinese Americans, according to court documents. But in reality, the pair were carrying out Beijing's orders through the site. Wang and son executed directives from the Chinese government, posting propaganda designed to boost China, all while reporting back to their masters a screenshot showing how many people viewed the stories according to the plea agreement. In one case, Wang's spymaster ordered her to post pre-written news articles, including a PRC official written essay in the LA Times. There is no genocide in Zhejiang. There is no such thing as forced labor in any production activity, including cotton production. Spreading such rumors as to defame China, destroy Xinjiang's safety and stability. This sounds honestly like every member of the Trump administration, though, doesn't it? We never deport. Everybody who ICE has detained is here illegally. There has been never been no wrongful detainments. There's been no wrongful deportations. This is what they do all the time. Everything is perfect. Donald Trump is perfect. This sounds legitimately exactly like what MAGA sounds like. Now, I get why you can't get rid of the MAGA people for saying that, because they're citizens of this country, so you're allowed to be a dumb fuck. But doesn't that sound exactly the same? Wang complied and her handler wrote back, "So fast, thank you, everyone." In another case, Wang's PRC boss commended her on page views received by a certain piece of propaganda. Wang wrote back, "Thank you, leader." Wang pled guilty to the federal charge at her arraignment in downtown Los Angeles on Monday afternoon. She faces a maximum of 10 years in prison. This was interesting. Her husband is getting 4 years. I feel like they did the same crime, but she's got a max of 10. And her husband's getting 4. Under the terms of the plea agreement, Wang admitted that she acted under the control of the Chinese officials to promote propaganda. Prosecutors in 2024 charged Sun with conspiracy and acting as an illegal agent of a foreign government. Wang said her relationship with Sun ended that year. Her ex-lover also served as campaign manager for her city council run. Wang tried to distance herself from Sun in 2025, saying she was not responsible for the actions of others and would not resign from the post she then held at the city council. You can see her son was sentenced to 4 years in federal prison for acting as a covert agent of the PRC. Somehow she is getting 10 years, though. I don't know if it's because she was in public office, but that's pretty crazy. China got somebody voted in. That's pretty crazy. Good job, California. All right, this is actually a really cool link I wanted to show you guys. This is from Brown University. There's a cost tracker now for the Iran war energy cost tracker. And you can look at gasoline and diesel. This is how much it has cost Americans so far in billions of dollars. This is on top of what they would have paid, $39.9 billion. That's $326 per U.S. household. Cool, huh? Isn't that cool that you guys are all paying $300 extra to fight a war that nobody can explain to you? Yeah, I know the entire state of California didn't vote for her. I understand that. I was just saying, cool, California. I wasn't I just thought it was funny. That's pretty cool, right? Yeah, digital war, RTP, they put people deep in politics. In the Philippines, a bunch of mayors have been discovered to be Chinese and working for China. I agree. What's also crazy is that we do that everywhere, too. Like, we also do that everywhere. This is Trump. One of the few things Trump has said that I kind of agree with lately, whenever they bring up China and what China's doing, he's like, yeah, we do that, too. And I'm like, oh, I appreciate you saying that. This is the total extra gasoline cost paid by Americans. We're at $21 billion now. That's $165.35 per U.S. household. When the war started, we were at $2.98 a gallon. We're now at $4.53. That's plus $1.55 per gallon. You can see the states hit the most. It's always going to be these states right here. It's always going to be Washington, Oregon, Nevada, California, and Arizona. But Illinois struggling, Michigan struggling, Alaska obviously struggling, Hawaii is always going to get hit pretty hard. Cool. How do we explain this, Mag? Are we proud of this? Did we lose you guys? You take off? I might have if I was you. All right. Now here's Marco Rubio telling us before we went to China. Now what's the goal, Marco? The rule at first it was regime change, then it was getting rid of the nukes. What's now our goal in Iran?
As President Trump has said, and the facts clearly bear out, the United States of America holds all the cards. There is no scenario here in which if they decide to join a ladder of escalation, they wind up getting the last say. But our preference,
I do have a Discord actually, Jackson,
is for these straits to be opened to the way they're supposed to be opened, back to the way it was. Anyone can use it, no mines in the water, nobody paying tolls. That's what we have to get back to, and that's the goal here.
So our goal is to get back to how things were before we invaded. That's where we're at now. And we hold all the cards, but somehow can't open the strait with all the cards. Embarrassing a little? None of you? Nicholas said, just lost my job and my health care. Jesus. God bless America. Thanks for making this shitty day seem a little less shitty. I appreciate that, Nicholas. Good luck to you, man. That sucks. And just a reminder, your healthcare shouldn't be tied to your job. That's really fucking stupid. The dumbest fucking policy you could possibly imagine. And so, of course, that's the policy in the United States, is that it should be tied to your employer. That's a great idea. Hope you find new work quickly, Nicholas. I appreciate that. All right, moving on here. We didn't get to this, a little late, but I want to show it. Benjamin Netanyahu, if you guys need to go throw up, go ahead. But he went on 60 Minutes, which is run by Barry Weiss and run by Zionists. And they're going to give him the most cush interview possible. And even with him being handed softball after softball, he still manages to come off like a psycho, murderous dictator. Here he is with the newest, I guess, talking point that what they really want, what Israel really wants, is they don't want our aid anymore. And they're doing this because they know that the narrative has shifted in the United States, that nobody wants to give Israel aid anymore. And they can't win that. They've been trying the propaganda war. So they're going to now shift it and pretend that we're not getting aid. Listen to how they're pitching it.
I want to start now. It could go down very fast.
You may have seen a squirrel earlier. I'm sorry to be a pain in the ass, but you got to play the clip I sent Jen. Sorry I'm bothering you. Let's see. Oh, what was it about? I don't remember what it was about. Let me scroll up real quick, Dolphin. I'm sorry, I did forget. Oh, it's this one. All right. Sorry. Let me play this real quick. So during the U.S.-China summit in Beijing, amid chaos, I heard about this. That they started screaming at the press.
Please put on the earpiece for the simultaneous interpretation. Thank you.
So it's that part, like.
Get the fuck out of here. No, move.
Who was that? Who's speaking there? Is that Secret Service? Who is that? Oh. All right. Let's get back to Netanyahu here. Turns out one of the things that maybe Trump did good is we can now see what's been cut out of what airs. And you tell me why CBS cut this out.
I think that it's time that we weaned ourselves from the remaining military support and go from aid to partnership. So I want to draw it down, and then I want to suggest projects, joint projects for intel, for weapons, for missile defense. Israel, I think, is a leader in this in the world. Many countries come to us for it. I'd like to share it with the United States. We put an exact amount of money. You put the same. We share the fruits exactly.
Yeah. He doesn't want to get off. He doesn't want to get off assistance. He just wants to say, hey, maybe we'll pay some too. If they put in a certain amount and we put in a certain amount, that we're still giving them aid. Wonder why they cut that out. Wonder why they left it in where he was like, we just want to wean ourselves off of the remaining military support. Then you see, if you want to know what AIPAC and what Israel is and who they own and what the talking point is going to be, I highly suggest just going and finding whatever the fuck Randy Fine is saying. Because here's Randy Fine the very next morning saying the same thing.
Netanyahu this weekend said that the American foreign aid to Israel should be carved down to zero. Do you agree with that?
I do. I think there's two reasons. Number one, look, I want us to spend less money in general. It's $3.8 billion a year. It's a fraction of what we gave to fake Somali daycares, but it's still $3.8 billion. And the number one issue I worry about is the American debt and deficit. And every billion we can save helps us with that problem.
Is he not Rob Noor? Are they not the same person?
I think the second thing is it eliminates this political argument that somehow we're wasting. We spend $7 trillion a year, but somehow this $3.8 billion to Israel is the source of all of our problems. And the third thing it will do is it'll allow Israel to act in its own interest. America has incredible influence over Israel, not the other way around. That's why
it's not the other way around. Why do we let people lie to us like this? That's so crazy.
Bibi Netanyahu wants to get rid of the $3.8 billion because it will stop America from controlling Israel.
Yeah,
So frankly,
for sure. That's what it is. AIPAC, you need better people. You suck. Randy Fine fucking sucks. Nobody believes that, you fucking idiot.
could argue it's a mistake for us to stop giving them the aid. It removes a lever that we have over them. But for the deficit benefit alone, I think that we should do it, and I support us getting.
Yeah, you got your marching orders from BB. Appreciate it, Randy Fine. All right, one more thing. I just want to get to Pete Aguilar grilling Pete Hegseth, and then we'll get out of here. I missed this from the other day. I want to make sure we got this, and then that'll be the last one. Let me make sure I got comments before I start this clip. And the reason I want to show this clip, and I think it's kind of the theme for today, and the theme of the week is Republicans have no plan. They have no budget. They don't answer any questions. They won't tell the American people where the money's going. They won't tell the American people where they plan on spending money. They just want the American people to continue to hand them record amounts of money with absolutely no oversight. And the military had the audacity, like basically every other Trump official that has shown up and testified in front of Congress today or this week, to show up with no fucking budget and no fucking answers. They just show up and go, it's Joe Biden's fault that we didn't do our job. And it is alarming how effective that is for Republican voters. And we'll see in the midterms. I have this sneaking suspicion that the Republicans who are upset just aren't talking about it. And I think that this is going to be really hard to convince Republicans to go out and vote for these lapdogs in the midterms.
Mr. Hurst, on April 29th, as you indicated to the ranking member, you said that the Iran war had cost $25 billion in total. You reaffirmed that today. Do you have any other updated costs or projections since that?
Remember, that's just the cost that they say that we have spent. That doesn't include the cost to the taxpayer and the cost of energy prices, which again is around $40 billion.
Testimony that you've given. Outside reporting estimates have indicated that the war costs could be $1 billion a day. Do you have anything to share?
Yeah, thanks for the question, sir. So at the time of testimony in front of the House, it was $25 billion. But the Joint Staff team and the Comptroller team are constantly looking at that estimate. And so now we think it's closer to 29. That's because of updated repair and replacement of equipment costs, and also just general operational costs to keep people in theater.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Mr. Secretary, when can you share more formal accounting on the cost of the war with Congress and with this committee?
We'll share what we can. I think we've updated on that number this morning, but when it's relevant and required, we will share it.
It's relevant and required right now. You're late. You're supposed to be here with those answers. You're late.
I think this would be the format that it would be required. Ms. Secretary, on that same day, April 29th, you testified that the current ceasefire meant that the 60-day calendar with the War Powers Resolution was paused. Who are the parties to the ceasefire?
Well, right now, we are in that same ceasefire as of right now.
That wasn't the question. Who are the parties to
Will be the United
He's so afraid to get trapped in a question. He's always like overthinking these questions. Like, who are the parties in the ceasefire? We're in the same place. Okay. But who are the parties then?
United States and the regime in Iran.
How many pages is the ceasefire? What deal points? I'm not asking you to share the contents. I guess what I'm trying to ask is, how do we know that the ceasefire is active or not active without any documentation?
We know it's evident, and the ceasefire is in effect.
How would we know? It's just evident the ceasefire is in effect. Yeah, but people have still been shooting. During the ceasefire, there's been a lot of shooting, which is supposed to not exist during a ceasefire. And last week they told us, oh, well, that shooting wasn't part of this operation. It was a different operation in the exact same place, so it doesn't count as a violation of the ceasefire. Okay.
But is it pages? Is it 15 points? There's been different points that have moved around. Is there any other? How do we know you just trust that the president knows that the ceasefire is active or not active?
As you know, for the most part, a ceasefire means the fire is ceasing, and we know that has occurred while negotiating.
What do we do with this fucking idiot? What do we fucking do with him? As you know, that fire is ceasing. Well, it's not, though. And we kind of want to know what the ceasefire says, please. It doesn't seem like there's a ceasefire. If there is, the agreement seems loose.
Occur, and there are lots of different discussions with our negotiating team that are happening. I'm there when those discussions are occurring. Different drafts, different perspectives. So it's a very dynamic situation where a negotiated settlement could be the outcome here, where Iran does not have nuclear capabilities. And
too many words. Those words don't mean anything. This guy could say nothing, and he can speak for 3 straight hours and just say absolutely nothing. It just reminds me of like every tech company I ever had to work with.
From the Department of War perspective, we're here to support those options.
On May 5th, you announced the launch of Project Freedom, which is a new exercise where CENTCOM will help.
They did this. This is my favorite part. The war was taking too long, and they needed congressional approval. So rather than get congressional approval, they just launched a new operation, which was the exact same operation in the exact same place with the exact same targets and the exact same enemy. And they're like, actually, this is a whole new thing. This isn't that old thing. This is a brand new thing, and we get to restart the clock. And because everybody's such a cuck for Trump, Republicans are like, fine, we'll just pretend that that's how this works.
Coordinate ship traffic and guide commercial ships through the strait. President Trump then announced the operation concluded that evening. Now it seems that we may be revisiting that. Can you give us the latest on Project Freedom?
Well, as it pertains to battlefield options, we don't disclose those types of things. But ultimately, as the president stated publicly in his truth, at the request of the Pakistanis and given the options in the negotiation, it was paused, and it's an option we could always recommence should the commander-in-chief want us to.
Is the theory to create more ceasefires or more projects?
Maybe they don't want to answer. Yeah, maybe. Maybe they don't want to answer. Yeah, that's the point. The military never passes an audit. Ever fucking ever, ever, ever. There's more money wasted by the military than anybody else. And they've done this, they've had this ability to just be like, if you demand accountability from the military, you hate the troops. And they do that every fucking time. I've saw multiple people in here say, like, we don't care, we love the troops. Cool, then take care of the troops. Did you care about those 13 troops that lost their lives for this war for no fucking reason? Do you care about the troops that are over there eating, like, actual slop? Do you care about the troops who are in harm's way? Do you care about the fact that they're not with their families? No, you don't give a fuck about the troops. You say, I love the troops. No, you don't. If we love the troops, we would have been out of the Middle East my entire life, but we just keep sending people over there to die for oil.
Just to evade the War Powers Act?
The theory of the entire case is to prevent Iran from having a nuclear weapon. And if that has to be done kinetically and militarily, the Department of War is locked and loaded and ready to do that. If it happens through Project Freedom, where you move commerce through, if it happens through a negotiated deal, the president was very clear, even yesterday. This is actually quite simple. Iran will never have a nuclear weapon, one way or another, and we're here to support as one tool of the whole of government to make that happen.
They've never had a nuclear weapon. And you guys said you destroyed their nuclear capability last year. So I don't know what we're doing over there. Remember, he said, well, they still want to have one. Oh, okay. We're just going to murder them until they are like, we don't even want one anymore. Okay, fine. The war is over. How's that going to work? They're just going to tell us they don't want one anymore? And we're going to believe them?
General Kane, the depleted munitions have been a subject of some of the discussions that you've even heard here today. With respect to stockpiles that we have around the world, key regions like the Indo-Pacific and the Middle East, can you give us an update? What are you hearing from the combatant commands about their munitions status around the world?
Well, sir, we have sufficient munitions.
The bombing will continue until they like us more. Yeah. Do you like us yet? Yes, we like you. I don't believe you. More bombs.
For what we're tasked to do right now. That's what I hear from the COCOMs. What I will say is I will always want more. So I appreciate the effort of this committee and the Congress. We're always going to want more munitions.
Secretary Hegseth, what are you doing to support the involved services to recap their losses?
Guys, I don't know if you know this. Obama destroyed the military. When Trump took office in 2017, there wasn't even a military. I don't know if you guys were aware of that, but thank you for the Republicans in here to let us know. I thought the military still existed. I didn't know that. I didn't know that it was gone, and Trump brought it back.
We're submitting a $1.5 trillion budget that'll remake the department and ensure that every warfighter in the future has exactly what they need, and we're never in a fair fight.
What do they need? We're not going to tell you.
I take issue with the characterization that munitions are depleted in a public forum. That's not true. And ultimately, we have all the munitions needed to execute what we need to execute, and we're going to ensure that we supercharge that going into the future.
We don't know what your plan is. You don't seem to have a plan. How do you know you have all the munitions you need? Also, why would you say that your munitions are not depleted? Of course they're depleted. You've been using them. That's what happens when you use your munitions. They get depleted. Pete Hegseth, that's a fucking joke. This administration's a fucking joke. I wanted to end on that because it sucks. We're at war for no reason. When you guys go to the gas pump this weekend, when you go to the grocery store and you see those prices, you have one person and one person only to thank, and it's that dipshit in chief, Donald Trump, who's over there now negotiating, selling oil to the Chinese and helping his billionaire friends get more billions with ways to circumvent the tariffs that all of us would have to pay if we wanted to do business with China. But that's the world that we live in. That's Trump's America. Congratulations to all you MAGA who made it through today. I'll be back tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. tomorrow. If you weren't here at the beginning, 2-hour show tomorrow. I've got to go to a school program for my daughter, so I've got to be done at 11 Pacific time. I also have to get my daughter off to school tomorrow, so I don't have a ton of time to prep. So from 9 to 11, it'll be a abbreviated 2-hour show. We'll do that tomorrow morning, and then we'll be off for the weekend. Jen, did I miss anything?
Yeah, we've got a fun fact. I find it very entertaining when people say that I can't stop them in the YouTube chat.
Are you fighting in the chat?
I can stop whoever the fuck I want.
And are you fighting people in the YouTube chat?
I'm playing with some people.
Okay.
So I really find it funny when people want to act like they're going to tell on me to you.
Oh, that's not a good idea. I'm terrified of Jen. That's not a good idea.
So Amber said, in 2017, my sister worked for a company in Southern Oregon that made cases that can be dropped from planes. Civilians could buy them for $500 to $1,500. The exact same ones sold to the U.S. government for $16K to $20K plus. One thing different, contractors know military is cash cow.
Bingo.
See if there's any other ones. Yeah, that's the only one I missed. So.
Okay. Thank you. Sorry about that. Everybody else, I will see you tomorrow morning and every weekday morning. Well, tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. and every other weekday morning at 9:30 a.m. to 1 Pacific Standard Time. Tomorrow just until 11. In the meantime, go outside and touch grass. Get away from your computer for a little bit. Connect with your family or friends or your cat or your dog, whatever it might be. But if you get outside and touch grass, if you can't touch grass, smoke grass. If you can't smoke grass or touch grass, best of luck to you. I know you can do it. Be nice to yourself. Be nice to your family. Be nice to your friends. Look yourself in the mirror and tell yourself something nice or something that you like about you. Drink lots of water. Take your boots, put them firmly on the motherfucking ground. And until I see you tomorrow morning, take care of yourselves, stay cute and cool, and have a great, great, great summer.